Oh, they stopped yelling over there, punk.
I seen him up on the camera.
Yeah, he came up and sat down when I was going to get Simba because he was barking at the neighbor out there.
Right.
That's what he does. He sees people doing normal stuff in their yard, and he goes, "Hey, you're by my yard." It's like, dude, it's not your yard over there.
Right.
But he
Shit's
doesn't
funny.
realize it. He's just dumb.
But yeah, I feel bad for him with the concussions and stuff like that. Shit's absolutely brutal, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely not good what happened because, like, just with how his body reacted, this definitely was way better. Way worse of a hit for him. So I'm hoping he's good because I don't want to see anyone get hurt like that, anyways. Or in
Yeah,
general.
it's never a good thing. It stinks, and then like you just see all people. I hate it when I see people like try to predict or even just like predicting guys getting hurt.
Yeah.
I don't like that shit. And like I called Adam out for it in the chat. Like he'll say shit like so and so's gonna get hit, he's gonna get hurt, and he's done the rest of the year. And it's like, dude, don't fucking wish that shit upon people. Like you're like trying to will it philosophically into in existence. I hate that shit.
Yeah, it's nothing good like that. Because he definitely has said some things, but
Yeah,
I feel like most of it's just trolling, but
yeah.
I don't know.
He might be getting on here in a little bit if I can get
Yeah,
these links
but
out to everyone.
let's see.
Did you place those teams or whatnot? Because I made my little list here of the contenders all the way down, and we'll talk a little bit when we get closer. I think I might meld some of them together because I made the bubble one, but the bubble one is kind of like I think I might have worded it wrong. The bottom three are like the bubble teams are the teams that aren't doing that great right now, but still have like talent, and you can't like really tell which way they're gonna go. You know what I'm saying? But if you have it, hold it. Um, we will get into it, but I'm live right now. I mean, we can talk about whatever you want, really, and we'll save that stuff for later. But right now, we're just trying to get all the dudes in here and stuff like that. Um, but
Oh my.
it's been a pretty wild start to the season so far. There's the one thing I think is odd, and it depends. It's cool, but it's frustrating at the same time. The thing that's so annoying about this season is the variance. Rarely do we ever see a bunch of teams play in the middle of the pack through 4 games like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams where it's really, really hard to gauge. I know some people like try to say like, it's usually the 6 week mark when you figure out how good teams are going to be. But normally out the gate, you can really tell like what teams are going to be ass and what teams aren't. There's a lot of teams that are like these middle of the pack teams. There's teams that don't have a lot of talent and have overachieved. There's teams that have 2 and 3 wins where they probably should have beat those teams. Wins and losses that have aged better or not as well. It's just a wild first 4 weeks. It's just been insane. Like good luck fucking betting right now in this early season. It's
Oh,
been
dude,
fucking brutal.
betting in this season has been miserable. Dude, like last night, that game last night, I knew it was gonna be trash, but I didn't know it'd be that bad. I thought like their offensive would do something instead of just no touchdowns. And then on top of it, all the injuries that's been going on mid game, everything like that,
Yeah, the injuries have
kill,
the injuries have been fucking brutal.
kills it. Like you would think, oh man, Jonathan Taylor's not out. The backup running back should do decent because he always does generally decent. He always gets enough touches, even without like at least passing and stuff like that. Nothing. He does one run and gets out of the game.
Yeah, there's like we'll get into it. There's teams like Atlanta and like Seattle who they're not talented teams. And there's one thing I was like saying that I was kind of was annoyed by with what Adam said in the chat was, oh, why am I gonna watch your something to the effect of why am I gonna watch your uh, power rankings when you're just gonna he goes you're probably just gonna base off uh, where teams are at record wise. And it's like, well, that's how you know you haven't looked at my power ranking, because most of the teams right now in the NFL are 2-2, right?
Yep.
Okay. And my fifth best team, if you watch the power rankings, is a team that's 2-2, and that I think is better than teams that have 3 wins. You know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, I only reason why I brought up the Giants because you know he's trying to compare where Dallas is at to where Giants at. So he's in full transparency. If he wants to come at me, don't come at me. Go at the media. Go at the pundits that want to fuck. I've seen the Giants on more than one channel be in the 20s. I've seen a dude who I trust rank him at 30. I've seen media outlets rank them in the high 20s. And like, you're going to get mad because I placed Dallas at 13 and Giants at 16. I've been nothing but complimentary to that Giants team. And guess what? They're only there right now because they are 3-1 in a tougher division. Those losses have not aged well. They beat 2 bad teams. They beat a team that started off bad, who is, in all intents and purposes, looks like they're trending in the right direction in Tennessee. So don't come at me where I place the, you know, teams that are winning. Like, I've given your team all the fucking credit. And then he can sit there and be like, oh, well, I asked you a simple question. Where did you rank the Dallas? Yeah, because you're losing. You wouldn't have reacted as harshly had I said, I have Dallas at 20 and you at 13. Your team's not the 13th best team. It's not. And in all intents and purposes, if I'm going to be honest about your roster, your team's ideally in the 20s. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the Packers start playing, because they've been playing down to their opponents.
Yeah.
Like, that Patriots game, not good. I mean, even the game before that, I think it was like a field goal decision as well. It wasn't. There's the games they've won. They haven't been. I don't know. They have to do better. Like, even letting the Patriots in that game. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens Pats game was close too. I mean, the Ravens somehow let the Bills come back, and I mean, the Bills defense stopped them from scoring any points in the second half, which is ridiculously stupid. I don't know. I think that game also for you this week's going to be interesting too. But for betting wise, the spreads are super, super big this week.
Yeah, this week. A lot of them have been close throughout the past handful of games. What's the one game? What game is who's getting 14 points against somebody?
Steelers.
Is it the Steelers or the underdogs to someone by 14?
Yeah, the Steelers are getting 14 points against the Bills.
Oh, that's right. You guys play them this week. Yeah, I mean, you know,
I would take the Steelers plus 14.
Yeah, I mean, because they could show up and play good enough defense and play keep away with the ball enough to where you're only on the field so much, and yeah, you'll stop them from scoring points, but you're still efficient enough to where even if you get a handful of possessions, you're still probably going to score 20-something points. They might score 10, cover the spread.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even at the end, like coming down to like in the fourth quarter, say we're up 20 points, they could come back, score a touchdown. We're still up 11 points. We're not going to be like, oh, we got to score. No, it's going to be like we're still up 11 points.
Right.
Like it's like the spread in football games are completely different. There's a lot of 10-point spreads too. That Atlanta game, I think, is 10 points, right? Or is it?
I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look. But again, what I've been paying attention to a lot is like this trend where you're starting to see now it's harder for teams to play the conservative, back the bus up style game plan approach because teams are starting to become way more efficient on offense. There was 3 games last week where the losing team held the ball like 40 to 60% longer than the other team throughout the duration of the game and still lost the football game. Because if you're efficient enough, you can score more often than not when you get the ball. The other team is holding on the ball out and they ain't fucking doing nothing with it. They're just running the fucking clock out. And honestly, like if you're playing like that, it's because you don't have strike ability. Give me the team that's a well-rounded team and has strikeability on offense any time over a team that can just hold on to the football. Because if the game ends up being close, which it usually will, you still have to consistently play defense. And we've seen in the playoffs last handful of years, the high-powered offenses are still taking advantage and scheming right to beat a lot of the best defenses. Like, the only reason why the Bengals game and the Rams game was lower in scores because both teams made some fucking mistakes. We would have just kept scoring on each other. That game ideally should have been in the 30s, not the 20s.
Yep.
So, I mean, just like your game with from a while back with the Chiefs, that ball they wouldn't stop. They couldn't stop each other from scoring. It was gonna you could say, oh well, pick the right time to hold onto the rock and run the football and shit. You stall out on that drive, you give the ball back, as you've seen. I mean, you got to be able to get ahead and you got to be able to maintain leads.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and like, you know, a lot of people think you can get out to a 7 or a 10-point lead and just coast. You can't do that. Quarterbacks, offensive schemes, skill position players, the game's scaled towards offense. Like look at the Texans. Remember how the Texans when they had Deshaun Watson and D-Hop would roll in with a squad that's not that great, but they were so efficient with their big plays and the dual weapon strike ability that they could go out there and hang up multiple touchdowns in a quarter on teams. They would do it all the time. But obviously when you go against Patrick Mahomes, he's got all that and a better team. So as long as he gives you that too, odds are they're going to capitalize just enough for their high-powered offense to overcome yours. You know?
No, I know.
It's basically like you got to be really efficient and high-powered offensively and play just enough defense. That's today's league. Yeah. Just enough defense. You got to slow the other team's high-powered offense down.
Yeah, I felt like in the beginning weeks, like it's normally, it's like I feel like the unders were always good if you're betting wise. A lot of unders hit earlier in the year. Even with like high offensive teams, they still weren't scoring as much, obviously, because they're not as like used. It could be the same players, but they're still getting the ball rolling, getting moving good. And now it's like it's so weird trying to bet under overs because it's like teams you wouldn't expect. Like that Seattle game last week. That was dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy. So annoying. Like I got a bet I feel like this week is like a series lock. But like even though in my head I feel like it's a serious lock, I just feel like that's why I like betting on fighting. I'm way better at betting on fighting. Like I feel like we only played football for so long. It's so foreign and far away. I feel like since I'm closer to the martial arts game and I'm still out there, I'm training again. I've watched so many fights. I've been involved in that world for a while. Arm wrestling, all these other things. The combat sports, the one-on-one aspect of it and the art of it makes it so it's way easier for me to figure out stylistic matchups and bet on the fights. I do way better betting on the fights than I do on football. Dude, team sports are too fickle. Too many people, too many moving parts. The game, the teams evolve. Different players bring different skill sets. Some players aren't that good. Like there's just so many variables. There's players that people think are really good, but they're not really all that good, and bog teams down. It's just, and you never know. Coaches make bad decisions. Play calling. Should you give a field goal? Should you go for it on 4 down? There's just so many variables in team sports. It's just brutal, especially with football. Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was so upset that Sunday night game when Brady got so far down. I was literally Brady not throwing 37 passes away from winning almost $400, and it just like. Dude. But I hit all 6 out of 7 before that. Everything else hit. The 2 touchdowns I picked, all the overs of like passing and receiving and rushing, all that hit. And then Brady had to go and throw like 50 times. But I thought it'd be a close game, and Tampa's more based off of getting the run going well, and then they usually get a good enough lead, and then they kind of just stick with the run for a while, you know? That's how they play. But I should have known against Kansas City it was going to be just a throwing fest. Tom Brady usually doesn't throw more than 40 times. That's pretty rare.
Right. Well, let's be real. They tried to run the ball early,
I
couldn't,
know they did, but they were
and they
they got
couldn't
down.
do it. Yeah, they
They
couldn't
got
do
down.
it.
So it's
Right.
like,
Right. And the funny part was they still were in the game, had a chance to win.
yeah, that's the hard part about it. I was very hopeful that they were gonna. I don't know. It's gonna be a closer game with them, but then the Chiefs came out and were the Chiefs again, and just bulked up points, and then their defense let them come back a little bit. And once they get hit halftime, I already knew I was be screwed anyways. Even after the first quarter, they were down too much and throwing the ball too often.
Yeah.
That's what happens, though. I mean,
Oh, babe. You do me a huge favor, honey. You know, Coke.
Can I move it?
Can you give me another one?
Oh.
Appreciate you. But yeah, that was an odd game. And the best part about that whole entire thing was Tom Brady still fucking throwing darts at 45 years old.
yep.
Still a fucking animal. You know, at this point, thanks, baby. At this point, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
At this point, I'm just so sick of the Tom Brady haters and shit. Like, from a fundamental football standpoint, they just need to stop. Like, he's just fantastic. I can understand if for whatever reason you don't like him, smug, all the dumb bullshit, all the shit that has nothing to do with football that we don't give a shit about. He's still just a beast, dude. He's throwing fucking accurate bombs, fucking darts down the field, dude. I was like, yo, Tom's out here.
Yeah, dude. For me, like, I hate Tom Brady because he's so damn good. That's why I fucking hate him. Because he's too good, and he's playing too long, and he was on a good team, and it was a good scheme for him. And but it wasn't the scheme because he was a good He ended up becoming a really good player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
He
mean,
ended up like if you're in the game long enough, you learn the craft. In the beginning, I think it was scheme for him, but then he learned how to be a better quarterback because he knew you'd have to anyways. And then he took less money all the time. He was smart. He was a smart quarterback. He didn't go, "Oh, I'm going to get to be the most paid quarterback." No, he's like,
yeah, no, he wanted to win.
I want to win. I'll give all these. My wife makes 3 times more money than I make, anyways. I'm just gonna do this, and I make all this money off endorsements. It doesn't even matter. I make more money on endorsements than I do get my paychecks. Who
Does he
cares?
really?
Do you see all the endorsements he gets? Gillette, his own brand thing now. He's had that stuff for a while.
I didn't know that.
Like
No.
I'm
I
guessing.
assume that all these guys get endorsements, but I just don't know too much about
I'm,
it.
I'm guessing with Tom Brady, with how often like he's out there in commercials doing all these things, and he's always active with that crap. It seems like he would make more money in endorsements because they have to pay him millions and millions and millions to do those commercials
Yeah.
and rep things and do all that stuff. You know what I mean?
And there's
I
definitely,
mean that's
I sense a component of jealousy with that too. Like,
which I don't see. My thing with with how Baker got so much endorsements in the beginning. That's what kind of threw me. I was like, he's decent. He
why
was
do you
good
think
at
that is though?
it was where he got drafted.
I think it's
It,
a combination of where he got drafted, and I also think,
how he holds himself too. I
yes,
think that's
he's charismatic, he's well spoken, he's funny, he's good looking. Just like fighting, some of the greatest fighters ever, and the best fighters ever, didn't get paid all that much. Conor McGregor can beat a handful of guys, snag 2 belts real quick against favorable matchups, and then dip out, and he's a multimillionaire. I'll remember this shit's a business too. It doesn't surprise me that a guy like Baker Mayfield, as charismatic as he is, can make a bunch of money in Cleveland and dip. You know,
yeah.
it's a shame, but so I guess since you and I are the only ones here, we can just get into. Did you make a list for our?
Yeah. I got majority of the teams on there. I'm checking it right now and see what I missed.
This is
Team one.
KGR Real Podcast. We've been on for a little while. Don't mind me. I'm kind of trying to just eat my food real quick. This is a quarterly, 4 weeks in review of everything that's happened so far, and we're probably not going to get too super in depth, really, on every single team. But we're kind of good. We kind of made a list to go about, kind of being regimented in what we talk about. We made a set of teams that we all, and every one of ours is different. It's just our opinions. The elite championship contenders. We have a bracket for very good teams. We have a bracket for solid teams. We have a bracket for bubble teams, and the bubble team is basically like, I think I probably worded it wrong. For
But
me,
they're on the bubble. They're
well,
on the,
no,
the
but like bubble teams,
like,
I kind of had it in my head that the bubble teams were teams that could kind of go either way. Like they could be pretty good, or they could absolutely just be dog shit, not necessarily make or not make the playoffs. But what was that? Yeah, so that's kind of where those teams are. Like teams that sit on this little cusp of they have a lot of talent and they could be pretty good, but they're not right now. They could be very bad going forward. So their projection is kind of like, like I put a question mark next to it. Then we have teams that are not good. But the not good teams have potential to maybe be a little bit better. It's kind of what that is, like below average. And then, sorry, my cat is being so annoying. You need to go. Get out of here. She's just going after all my cords on my computer. And then I put basement or rebuild, teams that I think are definitely just bad. But I do think some of the not good teams are rebuild teams too. They're just playing a little bit better. So, and we can get into, flushing out where we think those teams are. But I just figured it'd be fun to kind of like throw them into categories and stuff to make it easier. What side do you want to start on? And you can go first.
I mean, we can work our way up, go from the basement up.
All right, so who are your basement teams? And you can briefly go team to team and tell me what about the basement teams, the rebuilding teams. They could either just be a bad team that's decent, like most of these teams in the basement are rebuilding. And some of the not good teams are rebuilding, but basement / bad / these are just the really bad teams.
I put the Texans on there, even though they're playing wild for what they have. I just don't think they're in rebuilding mode. Personally, to me, at this point.
What players on the Texans do you like?
I mean, that's a hard. I know they have a decent defense, but not. They picked up a couple defensive players from the Bills that weren't bad. They were just aging, like Jerry Hughes and stuff.
Well,
How good he's been doing. I haven't really watched any Texans games really, but I mean the quarterback isn't doing bad over there for what you would expect him to do. He's holding it down until they can find someone else either to fill it or maybe develop him. I think they're gonna fill the role instead of develop that, but. And I just don't. They have to rebuild because they don't really have that good of players.
right.
I mean, their running backs aren't the greatest. I mean, they have I think Burkhead's down there now, right?
No, they got a good young running back in Dameon Pierce. Burkhead's the backup.
Yeah, so they got some running. I don't know. I think they're in a rebuilding mode. They're not really. They're not bad because they still won a couple games.
Gotcha.
That division is interesting, the AFC South at this point. But
what else you got?
I put the Bears just because I just don't like how they're playing. They're really, Like, I feel bad for Fields because there's nothing that he can actually get going on.
Yeah, me too.
So they definitely have to not rebuild, but they're not great. And then I said Seattle only because I put them in there because of rebuild. Geno Smith is not the answer, and they're playing decent enough right now. Like they had that wild game where it was like a college game. You know what I mean? But their defense is letting people score all the time, and yeah, they're coming. They play up to their opponents. It seems they play up and play down. They're not playing that great. That's why I think they have to rebuild at some point. They have to get a new quarterback. They have to get a whole. Their defense isn't that great. They lost a lot of key opponents there, like the in linebacking core and all that stuff. So I just think they have to rebuild completely. Do something to get some new players in through the draft, all that fun stuff. And then my last one, because like I said, I might be missing some teams. I put the Patriots because they have to rebuild. Especially,
Interesting, yeah. So it was a hard one for me, but keep going.
I put them as that because with how Mac Jones isn't playing bad, but it seems like he's
You
not
you
like.
look at the look on your face. You fucking love putting these Patriots down in the basement.
Well, they have to rebuild at this point. I mean, they've lost a lot of good defensive players. I mean,
Look at this dude's face.
they're trying.
Look at him.
They're trying to go through like the same system they had back like in early 2000s. Two good tight ends, one good wide receiver, and a couple. But they don't really have a great wide receiver. Aguilar is not playing what he's gonna do. I mean, maybe it's because of the quarterback play, but I mean, now they're down like that. The Hoyer didn't even play. They're playing the rookie they picked up this year. So I mean, it's no. I think that maybe they had him since last year. I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense for them to go get that much better at this point. They have to They have to start drafting well and getting people in there because they're no longer the good team that people are just going to flock to and get paid less money.
Right.
And I don't think that tight end situation they tried building is working out for them because neither of those tight ends are really hitting off too much at this point.
Right. Anyone else?
That's my I had 4 down in the basement. Like I said, I'm probably missing some teams, but I can come. I'll come back after yours and see if I have any more.
All right. So my teams, I have Detroit. So a lot of people don't have Detroit as a team. Like I think people see the points and the start that they kind of got off to, like a start where they surprised people first couple weeks. Even though this team's scoring a lot of points, they're just so fucking bad defensively, bad enough to where most teams are going to score points on you. And they still are prone to make mistakes on offense. They're just not efficient as enough offense. Like, they can be effective at times, but I don't think Goff is the quarterback of the future at, his age and stuff like that. There's blue chip quarterbacks in the next draft. And I think they need to go out and find the quarterback that's going to be behind that offensive line. In my opinion, when you really watch them play, that offensive line is the reason why that offense is as powerful as it is right now, and they're scoring points on people. That offensive line is stacked left to right, and they can do a lot. They can literally just power block at the point of attack. They got guys that can pull. They can do zone stretch run plays. They were great in pass pro, so they're probably going to look to try to draft another quarterback, I would assume. They got some decent playmakers, but right now they're not that explosive through the air, which is another thing. And I like Dan Campbell and shit, but it seems to me like he mostly just galvanizes the troops. I mean, when they hired Dan Campbell, I was kind of like, oh. But I mean, I think that this team is not good, and I think that they're definitely gonna they're still building. The only really really good shining spot of that team is their offensive line. I do like the rookie. He's graded out okay. Hutchinson, Jeff Okudah's played a little bit better, but this team's not good at all. Washington, to me, is in the basement, and they're rebuilding. Carson Wentz would be gone next year. They're probably going to start. They should probably start Sam Howell at some point and see what they can get out of him. They got playmakers. They need to get better on the offensive line. They paid a lot of money to a lot of players they thought were going to be better than they are. Spent a lot of money in the secondary, and those players aren't playing well. They're just bad all the way around. I could see them, keeping a lot of their defensive core, bolstering their secondary, bolstering their offensive line, seeing what they get. Sam Howell's going to play at some point this season. And in the preseason, he looked great. See what they get out of him. You're going to have a low enough win margin, it's looking like, to where you can go draft a quarterback. If you don't like Howell, this team's rebuilding for me. I think they're probably going to let go of Rivera at some point. The Bears, you touched on the Bears. Bears just don't have enough talent. It's plain and simple. Both sides of the ball. Still think Fields is their quarterback of the future. He shows that he has talent, whether he's running it or throwing it. It's just hard when you're, 21 years old and your offensive line's garbage and your running backs are getting hurt and you don't have any weapons. Mooney's solid, but he's not great. Like, he's not that versatile of a wide receiver. Their defense is playing hard. Got some good young guys on it, but it's just not where it needs to be. Panthers, probably one of the more disappointing teams that I thought could be a little bit better. Baker Mayfield has regressed a shit ton. Offensive line's bad. Got some playmakers, but, they're not really showing up. Big part because the quarterback of the offensive line's so garbage. Defense has really good personnel, but the defense hasn't really been as great as I thought it was going to be. Matt Rule's probably gone. They're going to start looking for another quarterback probably. And then the Texans, for similar reasons. You said the Texans. I think the Texans' issue is their scores would be deceiving. They're like almost dead last in all important offensive and defensive categories. But they've got some defenders and some offensive players that have given them big plays and gotten touchdowns in specific situations of the game and kind of fluffed the score. But they're really all not that good. They still got, Nico Collins, who shows glimpses of being really good at wide receiver. They obviously got, Brandon Cooks, I keep thinking he's older, but he's not even 30 yet. He's been in the league forever. I think he came in the league when he was like 20. Mills, accurate quarterback, makes decent decisions. I'm interested to see if they keep him going forward. Offensive line's bad. And then defensively, they got this weird mix of young up-and-coming, like, talented players, athletic players, and then a mix of, like, old players and inefficient players that blend together to make this wicked leaky defense. The team's not that good. Interested to see what Lovie Smith does with this team. They're going to have a lot of capital to spend next year, see what they do in free agency. So what teams do you have that are not good?
I have the Broncos.
Oh, so you have the Broncos all the way down to not good? Interesting. Based on how they're playing right now, yeah.
How they're playing now, they're not good. They're just,
yeah.
They have no offense. Second. They have no offense. Russell is like a shell of whatever he left his whole body over in Seattle or something, man, because he's just not making smart decisions. Maybe it's his O-line that's not great and all these other things, but it just seems like he's not playing that well. Because even with a bad O-line, someone who's very talented, he should be able to make points still,
right?
And extend plays, and because they have the playmakers to extend plays to, and it seems like either they drop it or whatever, but like sometimes the ball just doesn't get there properly, or he overshoots them. You know what I mean? It's just it doesn't look good. And even the defense. The defense is looking. That's the only really bright side of that team is the defense at this point. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, the defense has played really well.
The defense keeps them in the game the best they can, but when your offense is consistently going 3 and out, what can you do?
And then Ross, man, I don't know what the deal with Ross is, dude.
Dude, he's thrown 4 touchdowns in 5 games, and 2 of them
missed a wide open touchdown to win the game last night.
I know, and I don't know what's going on with him. It just doesn't make sense.
Who else you got?
I said the Colts too. They have the talent. They have everything that they need. But how do you play like this? You get they come out. Maybe Matt Ryan's the problem because I feel like that's the only thing they're really lacking. But you come out, you beat the Chiefs. And then the week before that, you get blown out by the Jags. And then you come in and you only score 12 points, no touchdowns, all game. Like, you're a professional team. I get sometimes you're not going to get touchdowns. But it's just how Matt Ryan was playing and how that offense was working without Taylor, which Who knows how long he's going to be out? Hopefully, it's only 1 week for them. Because even with Jonathan Taylor in there, he hasn't been getting that many yards. That O-line is not helping him out at all. But then
O-line's
again,
pretty injured.
you look at the defensive side, and they're at least holding people to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like they beat the Chiefs,
You can
but
only
then
hold so much.
yeah, but then it's weird. You just get blown out by the Jags. That's wild. That's the Jags
look good.
the Jags are the biggest surprise team to me at this point.
Yeah,
They
buddy.
but that's what I have. Then I put Washington on not good. I know you put them on rebuild. I think
They gotta
they
blow it
have-
up. That's why. I know what you're gonna say. They're talented on both
they have,
sides of the ball.
they have the good defense. They have at least a star wide receiver that could play well. They have the running back that can play well. I think it's really Carson Wentz that just drags the team down. And I guess that is rebuild-ish. But I feel like Carson Wentz just destroys any chance of that team being well at this point. He hasn't played well since even in Eagles. He had a couple good years there, but then he didn't really have much after that.
Listen, we're keeping receipts too. Just like the dude for the Jets said, we're keeping receipts on this podcast.
I just don't think Washington is going to be good this year.
There's dudes in our group chat that said the Commanders were going to win the division. There's dudes in our group chat that said the Steelers were going back to the playoffs and win the division. There's dudes in our group chat that liked the Colts. There's dudes in our group chat that think the Pats are still
I
good.
picked the Colts in the beginning, and then now they're just not playing well.
No, hell no.
I liked it because Jonathan Taylor.
Raiders. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love Rich Eisen. But if I had a fucking dollar for every time Rich Eisen thought that the Raiders were a sleeper to win the fucking Super Bowl, fucking gag. Keep going.
Okay, I'll go on to my next one. I put Detroit. I didn't think they're bad enough to be basement, only because they do have the offense going for them. They have a youngish defense going as well. I don't know. I think if they're able to score that much points, the only thing they really need to tighten up on is their defense a little bit. Because it seems like they play up the weird thing with Detroit is they play up to teams, but not good enough. You know what I mean? They stick around like that first game against the Eagles. That could have gone either way. That and all their games they've lost, that they haven't lost by that many points. I think they've all been one-score games.
It has been pretty close, but
so it's like and every game they have a chance to win. That's why I don't think they're. I say not good because obviously there's a reason why they're not winning these games. Whatever it is, that's the not good part because they keep up with the teams. They just don't have the ability to finish it. Pretty much.
It's efficiency on both sides.
I think
Efficiency from a schematic standpoint and a talent standpoint.
Goff doesn't help either with that. So
yeah, he's not that efficient. Like he's playing good enough to where they're getting like explosive plays and stuff. He's making plays, but it's just not consistent enough.
And the last one I have, and not good for at the moment, I put the Panthers. I'm just upset that Baker just is shit. That he just decided I'm gonna go play and be on a team, and then you have two players. Now you have two quarterbacks on our team that are getting good money. Baker and Darnold. I think Darnold's still there. Yeah. Is Darnold still there? I'm not sure. I forgot they traded him.
He's the backup.
Yeah, I thought he was still there. So you got two quarterbacks. You're playing decent money for them both, and it's like they've been doing the worst quarterback carousel than the Colts at this point. Because at least with the Colts, they don't have two people on their team getting big money at that point. They might be paying someone, but it's not as much as what these people are doing.
Right.
I think they have a good running back when he's healthy. Their defense is lacking. It's a nice way to say it. I just don't think they've built it good enough. It's almost like it's not bad enough for rebuild because they have good pieces. They're just really bad. And that's what I have so far. I think I was just looking through the list. I know I'm missing a couple more teams. I just can't think of them off the top of my head right now. I'm going through them.
Um, do you want me to go through my not good?
Yep, you're good.
So my not good. And I'll start with Atlanta. So Atlanta's 2-2, and at times they're playing solid football. As the season goes on, and as injuries for teams start to pile up and stuff like that, and when you get into close games against good teams, some of these like teams that are floating around 500 right now, their past wins aren't aging all that well. There's a lot of 2-2 teams that have been playing a lot of other teams that aren't that great. Atlanta's not efficient enough, consistent enough, throwing the ball down the field, even though they have the capability. Marcus Mariota's still young. If he's healthy, he's solid. They're one of the better rushing attacks right now. Their offensive linemen suck at pass pro, but they can sure throw people around, push the pocket down the field, and it seems to be no matter what running back is behind that offensive line, just like history has shown. An offensive line that has really good run blocking skills and a good scheme, you're still going to get production out of the running backs. Sorry, my cat is just being an annoying cat. You need to go. Defensively, they can't stop anyone. They got a similar thing going on with the Texans where they got, some older players that are like just long in the tooth and inefficient. I do like a lot of their young secondary players, but just not good enough. I mean, this team will have a losing record down the road. Hold on a sec. I'm trying to figure out what the hell my cat's doing. You need to go. So Atlanta's been rebuilding for a little bit. I still like Desmond Ridder. I would like to see at some point if their wheels start to really fall off for this team, for them to at least, get Desmond Ridder in the mix and see if he's good before they draft a quarterback. If Desmond Ridder ends up being the guy, they'll eventually have to add more offensive linemen, like some of the skill position players they got. Really good young tight end. He's not being utilized all that great so far. They got Drake London, got some decent young secondary players. I feel like this team here, if they could get better in the pass protection aspect and add a couple more pieces, this team could probably fight for like a wild card in a year or two. Depending on, if Mariota plays his best ability, they could probably get there. I mean, he's won a lot of football games, even though he's just a normal guy. So interested to see where Falcons go from here. They're a team they're below average. They're just they're not that good. But the things that they have been good at have been able to take advantage of some of these teams that really can't stop the run, have close games. They got some fun strikeability on offense. So, other team is very similar. These two teams are super similar. Seattle. Now, the thing that separates Seattle from them is, a lot of people don't know this, but Geno Smith, from a full deep grading standpoint right now, is passing just as good as anyone in the league. Kind of have a little renaissance through 4 games there. We got to see if it holds up. It's a small sample size. But, they're living and dying almost like how you live and die by the 3. They're living and dying by Geno and the downfield players. Again, they have some strikeability. I don't think the running back situation, Rashad Penny busting off almost 200 yards on the ground, that's variance. That's not going to happen all the time.
I need him all the time.
Yeah.
I build my fantasy team up.
Week 1, I liked how their defense played, but then they took some injuries. I don't see them being that great of a defensive force. So I think they're in the same boat as Atlanta. One of my other not good teams is the Patriots. So the Patriots are an odd one to slot for me so far because obviously, the Patriots are going to roll in, disciplined, well coached. They're not going to have a lot of penalties all the time, and they're going to have tough, smart guys on the team that really fit the system and play football. They lack the juice down the field, like you said. They just don't have enough weapons to attack people down the field, and you can run the ball as efficiently as you want, but there's going to come times in the game where you need to make those plays down the field. I don't think their quarterback is meant for that, and I don't think they have the personnel for that. Defense, they're slow, unathletic. At some point, you can be as disciplined as you want, but if you a defense, you have to be athletic, you have to be reactionary. This defense just isn't that good to me. So, Patriots, they're in the not good for me. So, Jets make it to the not good for me. I love this Jets team, and I said it. I said it in the podcast a while back before. They're sitting at 2-2. Had some gritty comeback wins. I love all the players on every side of this, both sides of the ball. I just think they need to have more experience and more cohesiveness and play together as a unit. Love their young secondary players. Love some of their front seven players. Their offensive line is still solid, even with Mekhi Becton being gone. They can run the ball a little bit with their young backs. They have a deep wide receiving core. It's basically the variance could be a little bit scattered. It's going to depend on how good the young quarterback plays. He has to be efficient, make better decisions with football. He has all the arm talent in the world. But right now, this team is just a competitive team that doesn't, I wouldn't say they have a lot of holes on their roster. It's just the level to which their roster is actually at. It's not reached its potential. I don't think it's anywhere close. The other team, I have two more teams left and not good. Steelers are in the not good. Their offense is just so bad. Maybe if Pickett comes in, he's just the fact that he's already throwing 3 yards per attempt more than Trubisky is a really good sign for this team. But right now, through 4 games, their offense has been dog shit. The offensive line's dog shit. Najee Harris, in my opinion, a little bit overrated. Even with the bad offensive line, he doesn't give you a super lot after he makes contact or after the catch, in my opinion. He's not wicked dynamic. Solid running back. By no means is he bad, but he's just not. I don't think he's the guy that people thought he was going to be, unless they put a really good offensive line in front of him. Wide receiver core, I think Chase Claypool is just kind of like a hit and miss big play guy, but I like the other 2 wide receivers. I like Pat Freiermuth. Defense is leakier than people want to give it credit for. I think a lot of teams have played some bad defense this year, and it's going to push the Steelers' defense up. And when you really look at them, Minka Fitzpatrick's having one of his better years, but he hasn't been that good between his first year and this year. He's playing solid this year, but their defensive backs, to me, aren't really all that great. Linebacker, they got a couple linebackers that are really inefficient. I like their front end, obviously, with Cam Hayward and TJ Watt when he's healthy. But I just think this team's one of those teams where, with their athleticism and their instinctiveness, they'll play like middle of the pack defense when it's all said and done. I mean, I could see them being like 10 to 15, at the end of the year in total defense if they could get Watt back and stay healthy. Offensively, this is going to be this year. They're going to be one of the worst. It just goes to show you. Like, I watch Steelers games. I've seen some of these Steelers games, and like the wide receivers are running around, and they're like, "What the fuck?" Getting open and shit. They're like, "Dude, ain't got no one throws a fucking football." So this team's bad right now for me. And then the Colts. They're playing bad at least. You can't have this much talent on both sides of the football and just play this ass. I think a lot of it has to do with Ryan. His arm is so cooked last night. I remember in the chat, I'm like, I can't fucking watch this anymore. I stopped watching it. And then they came back and won. Just shows you how bad the Broncos are. But, like,
I think that game, I told you, like, this game's going to be so miserable to watch. I literally fell asleep watching the game.
Here's the thing. If we've learned anything from these high-powered running offenses, it's as old as time. Show me a high-powered running offense that went really far in the playoffs and or won a Super Bowl. It's because they have the passing offense to complement the high-powered running offense. It doesn't have to be, like, extravagant, but it's got to be good enough to where in certain positions you can play balanced football and you can attack and win down the field when you need to win down the field. And it's vice versa with the run as well, but you have way more opportunities, way more strikeability to dig yourself out of certain situations with the pass that the run does not provide you. This Colts team is another team that relies way too much on the run. Yeah, last year they were one of the most efficient rushing teams, but then, they get to this friggin' win-or-go-home Jags game, then they have a meltdown through the air. They don't run the football as good as they were expected, and they don't even make the playoffs. Same thing with Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee gets into the playoffs almost every year with a high-powered run game because they're a really well-rounded team, but they melt when it comes down to being balanced and being able to take shots when they need to. So, this team, they're not running the ball really well. They would probably have a win or two more against the competition they've played if everyone was healthy. But when you look at this roster, it's a good roster on both sides of football. Matt Ryan's arm's cooked. And as a team, when the position of most important is cooked, and then your best player and the running back is absolutely cooked, and he's hurt. Yeah, if that's the game plan you're gonna implement, you're gonna be a fucking boat without fucking an engine or fucking without oars, dude. You're just gonna be dead in the water. And that's what I have for my not good teams right now. And obviously, anyone that's watching this or anyone that's in the comment section, if there is a comment, no one leaves comments. This is a projection of what they've done so far. It's subject to change. Don't cry. You'll fucking live. What teams for you are the question mark teams or the bubble teams? And what I meant bubble, I probably should just call them question mark teams.
I think that's like my one I got.
Teams that are just like, meh, like you don't know where they're gonna fall. Like it's hard to gauge their projection. Some of these teams have 500 records. Some of these teams have sub 500 records. What are your question mark teams?
The first one I have is Steelers. I don't think they're bad enough to be in the not good. I want to see how the new quarterback plays, to be honest. But I feel like with TJ Watt back in there and their defense actually full strength, it can make up for their lackluster of an offense to a certain extent. But that's why I put it as a question mark. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're bad. I think it's gonna be it's all gonna be figured out kind of probably within the next 3-4 games and what they're gonna look like. Especially with Pickett coming out, see how good Pickett can play. He didn't play the greatest in the first half he played in,
Easy
last
over their
week.
guns.
So I just think I think they're kind of it's a thrown up in the air thing. It's hard to see them winning more than having a winning season at this point. But they can. Maybe Pickett comes in and plays very well, and towards the end of the year, I don't know their schedule. I'm not sure how, if it's an easy schedule at the end or how it looks. But if he can make up some wins in the back end, maybe they can go over 8 wins. Maybe. Then I have the Titans in the bubble, and it's only because of how they played so far. Even with Henry back and all this stuff, we're going to be great. But then they lost their number one wide receiver. They signed Robert Woods, who's been pretty much invisible. Not as invisible as the Rams wide receiver. I can't even think of his name.
Cooper
He just
Kupp?
doesn't do anything either. So,
Cooper Kupp or Allen Robinson?
Robinson, where
Look at that shit.
he's invisible. You don't even know he's on the team.
Absolutely insane to me. I think that's so crazy. And I don't know if that's the offensive line or whatnot, but keep going.
So it's like Robert Woods. He wasn't going to be a number one there, but it's like he's not getting. He barely gets targeted. He finally got a touchdown last week, and then they have Trayvon Burks there, which Burks he's doing better, but I don't think you should throw him into a number one role at that point. But
Side note.
Yeah.
I can't stand Allen Robinson as much as I love that player. He has single-handedly boned 4 of my parlays. Because he's had good matchups and can't get the end zone. You know what my bet was the other night? Chell and I were here watching the football game, the 49ers game versus the Rams game last week or whatever it was. I had a bet that I got so close to winning, and it was a same-game parlay. I would have won $7,000. All I needed, everything panned out except for Allen Robinson get a touchdown and Kyle Juszczyk needed to get a touchdown. And what do? Kyle Juszczyk, they had that drive where he gained 60 yards with 3 different plays that they didn't give him the ball in the end zone. Then they threw a fade route to Robinson. He got his hands on it and he dropped it. I'm like, oh God, dude, it's so brutal. But keep going. I'm done with Allen Robinson. He's never in a parlay ever again. Never in a parlay. He's a parlay killer this year, dude.
Damn invincible. You think he's due for a touchdown eventually. Then my next team in the bubble are the Jags. I think
bubble, huh? Okay.
I think I think it was like I think they're really good. I think they're really good, but they're I put them in a bubble because I'm not sure if this is just like maybe matchup wise. Like I don't know. It's to me, it could be a toss up with how they're playing. They can go up, they can go down. I think when we do this thing after the halfway mark, after 8 weeks, we're gonna really know where the Jags are at because they're gonna face different competition, all these things like this. I think how they've played is great. They do have a decent defense. They've always had. That's the thing. They've always had a defense that will stop some people, and they're decent against the run. They have to be because they go against the Titans every year, and they're also not bad against the pass. I think it was just their offense that was lacking before. The rookie last year, he's supposed to be really good. He's getting better. The ETN's finally going to be in,
Oh no! Look
and then
out!
I don't know. I think Robinson was looking good too.
Your
Um,
brother tried to hop in here. They got scared.
so I think they definitely will. I just don't think they're good enough to be in the solid because I don't think they're a solid team. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see them as solid.
Right. I can understand that.
Oh, then my next one's the Raiders. I just with how they showed up the other game, maybe it's just one game, but if they actually can get their run game going, they do have the weapons. They have Waller. They have other wide receivers, but I think they have to get the run game going, and they hadn't got the run game going till last week. So maybe that's their turnaround point. Who knows? That's why I put them in the bubble because I don't think they're bad enough to be not good because they have the potential. Like Derek Carr is a decent quarterback. I think he's an above average quarterback just off of the play he's had throughout the years, but he definitely has his ups and downs. I'm not sure what your view on that is, but I'm sure you put them probably well, you put him in the one before, so I guess
No,
you don't.
they're in my question mark one.
Okay, I thought I heard him before. Um, then I have the Saints. I just don't think their play has been. They have a good defense, but their offense is the same thing. It's like it's just questionable to me.
Oh yo! What up, John?
Yeah, to me, anyways, I think they're
I
questionable
think he's
at that.
muted too.
So
John.
yeah,
He's
so
gonna be like,
that's
what are we talking about? What are we doing here? What are we talking about?
that's my view on the Saints. I just don't. I think Kamaro's looking weird. I don't think he really wants to play for the Saints anymore. I mean, Thomas should be playing better than he's playing. I think he's been back, right? He just hasn't been doing much because of the quarterback play.
Who is that?
I mean, it wasn't Michael Thomason, or is he still out?
He didn't play last week. Same thing with Kamara.
I just don't. They have the pieces, but they have to come together.
Well,
You know what I mean? Because they don't have the quarterback to play him. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Dalton he's been a decent quarterback. He's been good.
he's
I just
steady.
don't. I have to see how they play together and piece them together at this point. Because it just doesn't make sense to me that they're.
Right.
They said they have the defense. They just have to have the offense come around and play well. Then I put the Falcons as well in the bubble. I just think it's interesting how they've been playing. They're 2-2. They've had good wins. I mean, close games with them, but I mean, they're like I think I saw somewhere they were like a couple plays away from being really good, like in win wise, where like only a couple like plays have brought them down from losing a couple games. So I think the Falcons can do they can do good, which is interesting with Mariota. But it's like all up in the air. It's all like Mariota he's a very up and down quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why the Tennessee dropped him. I mean, he wasn't good enough to bring him over the
Injured a
top.
lot too. I mean, don't surprise if he sprains a pinky and he's like, he's just fucking out of the
Yeah.
game.
And then it's just Tennessee is like Tennessee dropped him, and they've never been able to find a quarterback that's good enough to just even have a decent passing game with the running game. So I don't know. The Falcons look decent though so far,
Going in your room
and I put the Jets in the bubble
in the
because
room,
I want to see how they're going to play with Wilson on the field now. Before they're playing with Flacco,
Just text me if you need.
and he's not a bad quarterback, or wasn't at one point, but he's older now. He doesn't have the arm strength, and he just wasn't. He won them that game. He came back in that Browns game, and he did really well. But I just don't see them doing. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that Flacco was like the team's going to be the same with Wilson in there now. I think Wilson will give him a step up over Flacco if Wilson shows if he can play like a full game like he did that fourth quarter, because he was playing well that fourth quarter. So, and then my last one is the Browns in the bubble. I just want to see. They've been playing decent with Jacoby, and their rush game has been good. Their defense is playing not bad. I just want to see how they keep going, because all that's really going to matter is how the team plays once the actual starting QB gets in there, and how everyone's going to react once Watson starts playing again. That's going to be fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, when if you get Watson, people could talk all that shit. I know he's in the perfect place too in Ohio. You get one of those Ohio table showers, they'll clean you up real good. Maybe get knob you real quick, dude. But yeah, I mean, you get borderline top 5 talent when you get Watson back. Now, is he looking a little rusty in the preseason games and stuff? Yeah, but when you have an offense and a defense designed like that offense and defense, I'm sure that if they could keep it afloat, he slides in there, no pun intended. I think that if they could keep it afloat enough, that team could possibly vie for a extra game in the playoffs now. They could be knocking on the door for, a late rally. But
No, I definitely think so too. That's why I put him in a bubble, because it all depends how they play up until he comes back. And then if they have a decent wins, then I think their back half of the schedule is pretty not easy, but it's easier than the first.
That ass, boy. That made you quiet down.
That was that's my bubbles squad.
Okay, so my question mark / bubble squads. I'll start with the Raiders. Not anything that I haven't said about the Raiders before. And my opinion on paper, this is the worst defense in the NFL. I haven't gone and looked at the total defense numbers and all the defensive numbers that matter really to really flush that out. But they're basically toting out 2 really good pass rushers that are okay in run defense. Bad interior D linemen, bad inefficient tackling linebackers, in a very bad secondary. Nate Hobbs is solid at corner, but not enough to elevate a secondary. Trayvon Morrig, solid for a second year, not enough to elevate the secondary yet. One of the worst offensive lines in the whole entire league. I like Josh Jacobs. He's overrated too. Everyone acts like Josh Jacobs is this talented world beater. They've had better offensive lines in the past couple years with him, and he's a guy that if you run the most efficient ability, he's around 1,000-yard rusher. He's more dependent on his touchdowns, and obviously, you got to get in the end zone. I had a fantasy blip. If you're a fantasy guy, he holds value because he can get in the end zone from time to time. But he's not a guy that's going to consistently move the chains all the time throughout the year. He's got some talent, but he's an average running back, in my opinion. But like you said, average running back, high level weapons. Hunter Renfro's underrated. You got arguably the best wide receiver in the league, depending on who you talk to. One of the best receiving tight ends in the league. The one thing I said about this team was if they could consistently go out and be an offensive juggernaut, they will be in almost every game they play, and I could see them possibly being a solid team. But, where does that get you? They were an offensive juggernaut last year. They couldn't seal the deal in the playoffs against these guys. So you have to be extremely exceptional on offense. And that Raiders offense wasn't like historically great or extremely exceptional last year. So for me, going forward, if they can be very exceptional offensively, and I don't mean just explosive and all that stuff, like efficient, like put up a lot of yards and finish drives and get in the end zone and not be reliant on Josh Jacobs to be like, oh, here's 150 yards. He's not going to get that every week. This team could be all over the board. This team could be a 500 team. This team could be, absolutely garbage at the end of the year. Everyone's going to score on them. So,
I don't think Josh Jacobs has to get that many yards a game. I just think they have to put the threat of a run game in there, because without that, they know they can just pass rush the shit out of.
That offensive line's fucking ass.
So, I mean, they have to have the threat of him to run. So they're going to have to do it more closer to 50-50 of, like, their plays.
And I agree with that. I just don't think they have what it takes to play balanced.
No, that's why they're not in the very good or solid squads. Yeah.
So you would think the way I've been talking about this team through 4 weeks in the preseason, you'd think I'd have them in the fucking basement, but you could still win a lot of football games if you could score a lot. And they have the potential to score a lot. We just haven't seen it so far. Next team for me, and the question mark, is the Denver Broncos. Like you, the Broncos are kind of like a fucking enigma, super talented on both sides of the ball. What, for most of his career, proceeded to be an elite quarterback. He's not focused. He's making bad decisions. He's not seeing the field. I watched that game last night. That offensive line got smacked around. I think it's a combination of the offensive line being really bad and Russ not making great decisions. He had a guy wide open in that game last night. One plus side is this defense is super high level. Front seven's nasty. Linebackers, not overtly athletic, but solid linebackers. And their defensive backs are they're fucking nasty. They can cover, they can hit. I put them in the question mark because it's like they haven't played well so far. And as bad as they played, they're still 2-2. If there are teams that are in the question mark or the bad category that could turn it around, it's definitely this Denver Broncos team. But, dude, if I'm Russ, I'm fucking ducking and hiding at home, dude. I don't know where the fuck he's living at in Colorado. I'd be in the fucking mountains after 4 weeks. I'd be fucking hiding out. I'm only coming out of the hills to come to game day, dude, if I'm Russ.
He comes up, he was like, Broncos country, let's ride. So like, shut up. What you started saying then started losing your damn names, bro. Come
on. I have Arizona in there because Arizona is this weird hodgepodge of a team. They have holes all over the place at different spots. They have a lot of young talent that's really athletic on both sides of the ball, just not the experience. They're not strong where they need to be. They're okay at tackle. Kyler Murray, as fantastic as he is from a pure skill standpoint, he's just, it's no wonder they were like, hey, you need to start fucking studying. He's terrible at picking up the blitz. He gets sacked more than he should for a dude that has the arm that he has. It has the ability that he has. He's not a dumb guy. There's plays where dudes blitz off the edge. He doesn't even see him coming. Defensively, they got a lot of really good young talent. It's just not clicking on defense. It's just the areas in which they're weak make it so this defense is going to suffer. They're not super strong at corner, in my opinion. They're not super strong on the edge. Everyone's pretty inefficient in terms of the run defense. This team could be all over the board. This team could possibly be a wild card team when they get D-Hop back. This team could just be a bad team. So they're a question mark for me. I don't like the coach either. I think it's, the only thing I worry about swapping the coach out is like they specifically hired this guy because he runs a system Kyler Murray played in college. I'd like to think that if he puts the work in, he could probably play in any system. He can run. He's got the arm. He can make every throw. And he's not 5'10" and 3/4. He's literally 5'8". So let's just get that out there. The dude's fucking he runs like an angry toddler. He's like, "Urgh." But I mean, he's dynamic. It's just he's got to be consistent. He's got to make smart plays.
I think they hindered him by keeping the offense what he did great to a certain extent. Assessment. Because I don't think because it's like anything. It's like you're
in the NFL now. You're in the NFL now. Teams are going to make adjustments to you.
Learn an NFL scheme. You're not in college anymore. You're not playing a college scheme. Just make an NFL scheme close enough so it works with his other abilities. Like Josh Allen, he had the ability to run and throw. He was very crappy at doing like accurate passes short. What does he do? He works on it. I mean. And then they also scheme things up for him to be better at it. Like once he had the skill there, and I think Kyler he has to work on the skill or work on learning the game a little bit more. Like you said, those blitzes that just you don't see the guy, you don't go, hey, let's put running back, go right here because this guy has no one blocking.
Yeah. Let's put this dude in motion so we can at least get a chip on this linebacker so I can make a play here.
It's not like it's his second year in the league. He's come out as 4 years in the league now. He had
fantastic arm talent. Like if he's got enough time in the pocket, it's hilarious because he's 2 feet tall. The ball just like fucking explodes out of his hand. He's like, pew! That ball comes flying out down the field, accurate. I just think he makes bad decisions.
Yeah, he does. That's just like, and it's off of the knowledge. I think it's knowing the defenses.
Nothing was better than his playoff meltdown. Was it last year's playoff meltdown? He gets out there, and the offensive line was so bad, and he's like doesn't know what to do because his decision making is just so ass. He had that play where he ran to the left, and he just stops, plants, wants to throw it, doesn't know what to do, and he just goes, ah, like literally went like this with the football, and the dudes were tackling him, and he just went, and just threw it for he like he's behind, like grenade. He like it just fucking hope for the best. And the dude picked it off. I was like, that play right there is a guy that clearly is in over his head in that situation. Like he was just like desperate, did not know what to do. He didn't even know if he probably should just throw the fucking football away. He throws it into traffic, not without a care. Fucking crazy. But yeah, so Cardinals, Saints. You had Saints. I have the Saints as well. The Saints are a team, again, solid offensive line, really good skill position players. The rookie Chris Olave is playing really well. I love the defensive personnel. But again, they're going to be in these knockdown, drag-out fights where they're going to be forced to try to keep up and score with better offenses. It's just a well-rounded team that is injury-prone and is not going to get good enough quarterback play. Their guys aren't going to stay healthy enough for them to sustain what they need to probably make the playoffs. I think they are a question mark. They can be all over the map. But I think I'm leaning more towards they're going to be, a 6-7 win team, and they'll probably finish second or third in the division. I mean, obviously it's the Bucs division. They're not touching that. So, and they're going to need to draft a quarterback. They fucked up. I would have loved to see the Saints had Sean Payton stayed. I would have loved to see the guy I want to see go to the Saints was Desmond Ridder. He got snagged by the Falcons. I thought Desmond Ridder would have really fit a scheme with Sean Payton where it's like I thought Desmond Ridder's the most pro-ready guy. Can read the whole entire field, can make a quick decision, gets the ball out quick. I felt like with those playmakers, that offensive line, if everyone's healthy with him and Sean Payton, I felt like Desmond Ridder probably would have won the starting spot there. But yeah, I mean, they'll be steady with the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, but they're not stout enough right now on either side of the ball. Just not stout enough, not efficient enough on offense. So injuries. So who knows? Their variance can be high. The last team for me in the question mark team is the Browns. We already know what the Browns bring. This is solely because they're not great at quarterback. They're 2-2 right now. They're fucking fantastic everywhere else, and everyone worried about the wide receivers. But Amari Cooper's balling out. He's not giving up on plays. He's not sitting out drives. He's not ducking and hiding like a little bitch in the corner somewhere. He's not pouting. He's balling. And I think the young guys have played decently around him, Donovan People-Jones, David Njoku. I think it's good to have a veteran wide receiver that's a crafty route runner, knows the ins and outs of the game on that team. I think it's really helped that receiving core. Obviously, they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They're going to play balanced football. And in certain situations, they're going to lean on those two juggernauts. Defensively, probably going to be just as good as anyone in the league, really, once things get gelling and they're healthy. They're deep. I like everyone on their defense. But they're just trying to tread water with a good offense until they get Watson back. If they could get to Watson and be, around 500, a little bit above 500, Watson comes back, this team could be a threat to be a playoff team. So those are my teams for the bubble. Now, what teams right now do you have solid? Now, remember, this is just a projection. These are subjected to change, too, so I got to say that with a caveat. There's only 4 weeks. We're only going into week 5 here, but who are your solid teams? Teams that you think are solid, playing well now, and deserve to be in the solid category for now.
So, this is questionable, I guess. I don't think they're playing great, but I still think the team they have is solid, and they just have to wake up, and it's the Rams. Okay. They have everything they need. I think
Ram that ass, boy.
What's interesting is how that defensive line and that those defensive ends aren't getting as much pressure now without Von Miller there. That's interesting.
It's huge.
So
listen. I know a lot of dudes that think pressure up the middle is like super important. I think it's a plus. I really think you still want to be getting your pressure on the edges. I think it's easier for dudes to plant their feet when they have to step forward and step back as opposed to stepping right and left. Stepping right and left shifts your whole entire body. Also, when you step right and left, I feel like dudes are more pre-apt to just stay with that flow and run. And obviously, you could see shit coming easier from the front.
Yeah.
Them missing Von Miller, dude, yeah, the pass rush is not the same. You still got the fucking man amongst boys in the middle, but he can only do so much. He's a D tackle. He can only do so much.
And then if he comes up the middle, they can just flush out. And with Von Miller and other people on the side, he can't flush out anymore. They're forced to stay up in the pocket. So I just think they have the weapons. They have everything they need. They have to start using their wide receiver, too, to catch at least one damn ball.
Oh, we shouldn't even talk about him.
He hasn't caught a ball yet, okay?
Has he not caught a ball? No, he's caught a ball.
He probably maybe one.
Dude, he fucked me so bad, dude. I don't even want to fucking keep going.
He hasn't done anything well. So, but it's not even his fault because it's like Stafford doesn't look his way. Stafford goes, I know this one guy over here. He's my best friend. I'm going to throw him the ball all the time. It's like, when you're playing just pick up basketball and the guy just passes to his friend all the time, and eventually people catch on, But even with that, Kupp is still killing it. Not as good as he did last year, but his receptions are still way up because he's the only one catching the ball over there. Besides Higbee. Him and Higbee are sharing the targets at this point.
Cooper Kupp is so good. A guy that really understands what the route tree is doing to sway the way specific styles of defense attack the beginning of routes. So good at freaking sitting down and understanding if he's in, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. He understands all the different types of shells dudes are throwing at him. He knows what his quarterback wants. He finds the spots in zone, sits down, catches absolutely everything. He's just... And then man-to-man, he's so good at running routes. It doesn't matter if he only runs like a 4 or 6. Good luck good luck covering him.
Any actual wide receiver one, those are the ones that do good routes. You don't do 1-to-1 on them. You don't do man coverage.
No, you play zone. You hope for the fucking best.
When you do, you have a safety that are going to help you blanket. If you don't have that, then that's when they get burnt.
Stone Cold would
And he-
say that's how the right man runs routes.
and then, so my next guy coming up is the Cardinals. I think I put him in 3 only because I'm thinking of how they're going to look once Hopkins gets back. Because once he's in there and you have that threat of Hopkins, they need I don't know. Connor is not the guy, not the running back for them. I don't know. He's not a bad running back, but
He's
when they had
solid.
a better, when they had a better running back, it was easier for them to scheme up pass plays. But without Hopkins in there, they can cover all the other people normal. Once Hopkins gets in there, he's gonna have to get double covered. They're gonna have to give him the special treatment, and then that's gonna open the other side of the field up. And they also what you didn't. I mean, they lost Christian Kirk last year too. So you lost your number 1 and number 2 for the first 6 weeks. Really, granted they got Brown and Hollywood Brown and stuff like that. So it's but Christian Kirk's been playing pretty well for the Jags down there. So I mean,
Yeah, it will. The Jags are probably one of the more interesting teams in the league, and we'll get to them. I mean, I don't know. We're in solid, right? These are your solid teams. I don't know where you got. I would assume you have them in your solid.
oh no, I put the Jags in the bubble earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, keep going.
I didn't think they were good enough for
Keep
the
going.
solid. So next up, I have the Giants. I put them in as solid. I think they have a good run game going for them. Their defense is going well enough, but I don't know what it is with them. Maybe it's I don't know. I think it's a quarterback play. I don't know. Something's not clicking where they're not a very good. You know what I mean? They're playing solid. Saquon is back to a healthy Saquon. He's back to playing well, and now he has a head coach and an offensive coordinator that will help him do his run games better and actually put up good runs, push up even just quick pass plays to him that'll benefit him. It's like they weren't using him properly before. Saquon, the past year or so, it's like they weren't using him properly. I don't know. It just seemed like they weren't. To me.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of turmoil that's gone on in there. I mean, he was fucking fantastic his rookie year.
That's what I'm saying. So I think they're going to be good. They're looking decent right now, and they're 3-1. So right, aren't they 3-1? Yeah, them and Dallas are 3-1. So
big fucking forearm right there, dude.
So it's going to be. I think that team's good, but not very good. They're just they're playing well, and I think solid. They're playing a solid team. So next I have Dallas. I don't think they're good enough.
Oh, you have Dallas and solid. Oh my fucking god!
I don't think they're good enough to be.
Everyone in our group, everyone in our NFL chat is probably, besides the Dallas fans, probably want to find us and stab us in the fucking neck. Keep going.
I think they have a good team going for them. I mean, Cooper Rush coming out and winning that many games for him so far. I mean, the joke is they want Dak's. People are joking in the chat Dak wants to come back because Cooper Rush is doing so good. I don't really think that's too much of a joke because
Dak's still a lot better.
Dak's getting the money. It don't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, but Dak's still a better quarterback than him.
He is, but it's the weird scenario, when with Tom Brady and Garoppolo, that whole weird scenario where you have a decent backup, and you have this. Okay. The difference is one's not aging out like Brady was. But I think it's you have one who's already in a contract and one who's not in a contract yet. And Rush has to be coming up on a contract because he's been with him for a couple years. So
do you know what round pick he was?
I don't know. It wasn't 1 or 2.
It can't be 1 or 2. I mean, depending on the round, we'll tell you what I can look at what his contract is.
He's coming up on a contract either end of this year or sometime soon. But I think that's going to put him in a weird scenario there, personally, because he's going to be an expensive backup at that point if you sign him.
Cooper Rush has made $4 million in his career. Good for him.
But you know what I mean? He's
Oh,
going to be
dude,
coming up.
okay, hold on a sec. Oh, Cooper Rush played for the fucking Giants? That's
I don't
funny.
know. But either way, I think it's going to put him in a weird situation. But he's been playing well. I mean, CeeDee Lamb hasn't had a blowout game yet, but he's
Still playing well.
playing like he's gonna. You know, people are blanking him, and he's doing what he can with with the throws he's getting,
Still
especially
getting
with
in the
not.
end zone.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Cooper Rush is doing good enough, but like he's a backup. That's what he's meant to do. He's meant to come in and do it decent for a short period of time. So I don't know. I think but I don't see them as a very good team. I don't think they're that well. I think they're good, and they have good members on their defense. They have everything. It's just how they've been playing the games. I just don't see them being very good. I don't know. That's why I have them like labeled down a little.
Now, hey, now the other thing Adam said in the chat is, in his own fucking weird passive aggressive way, was alluding to us all thinking the we're all like white knighting for the Cowboys because apparently only white dudes like the Cowboys, that were like, oh, is it because they're wearing white jerseys? Oh, can you pull over license and registration? It's like, oh, why don't you give me a good argument instead of just saying, oh, y'all like the Cowboys because you're all Caucasian. It's like, dude, shut up with that shit.
What about all the non-white Cowboy fans?
Yeah, I know tons of them. And it's funny because when you hear people talk about like social justice and like Texas, the Cowboys fans are just racist. You hear that shit all the time. Dude, I know so many fucking black Cowboys fans. It's like, what? Cowboys fans, you can like. There's
funny
tons of Cowboys fans. I do think it's crazy. There's Cowboys fans fucking everywhere.
How do you think that there's only white people living in Texas, bro? There's a lot of different people living in Texas.
You mean we call that Tejas? Yeah, that's what the Spanish call Texas right there, brother.
I got two more in my solid. I got the Niners. I think they're solid. I don't think they're very good yet.
This dude's fucking crazy. Keep going.
I think they have a really solid team, like obviously, but I want to Jimmy G. He came out balling last week because he had to, like
because he had
and
to.
I think I think he can play if he gives what he can normally do throughout a year and it doesn't like trend down. I think they're going to be good, towards very good. Like I project them going into the very good. And during week 8, when we do the thing after week 8, I see them being very good. I just want to see how they're going to play because, I mean, they lost their main running back. Now they're down to the backup running back. And he's playing well. I picked him up, thankfully, in fantasy. Jesus. But, you know. And Kittle needs to start going. Kittle needs to start getting his stuff together. If they want to get very good, Kittle has to start going.
Stop getting hurt.
The run game has to start playing well. And just Garoppolo has to play average. He doesn't really have to play very good, just an average to a little bit above, I think. And that team should be fine. I think putting the rookie out there, even though they might have thought he was ready, I think they should have put Garoppolo initially again. Just so he has some time, but I guess you have to put him out at a certain time. You can't just keep saying, "Well, we'll do it when he's ready." You have to just throw him out there, somewhat in the deep end to see if he can actually swim. You know. So I don't blame that, but I think they should have just maybe kept Garoppolo for the first couple games going into it. But who knows? Because Garoppolo, he looked spot on when he was out there playing that game against the Rams. Like, his passes were coming out quick. They were hitting his receivers like he needed them to. Everything. He was doing tight windows, deep balls.
Dude,
I mean,
fucking sock him off. Why don't you, dude?
he played well. So. And then the last one I have is the Ravens.
The Ravens. He's got them in solid.
Their defense are literally destroying them. Like, their defense is great for a period of time. but they've had 2 games where they've just lackluster in the second half. I mean, I'm not gonna say their offense is what caused that for the Bills game. I think the Bills defense basically started playing well. They started playing better in the end of the second half. Can't live in.
Oh, what's up, buddy? What are you
They started
doing?
playing better.
You just hanging out?
Yeah, they started playing better in the second half. The Bills defense against their offense, and they made good just changes to kind of keep up with them, and then they shut them out the whole second half. I don't think that's anything against their offense. I think our defense just stepped up enough. But their defense has been shit in the bed the second half. I mean, during a Dolphins game, it was fourth quarter, but that Bills game, the whole second half, like, we were doing what we wanted to at that point. And we came back and did 23 straight points to win the game. And it could have been 27, but we stopped on the 1 yard line to do a field goal just to kneel it down. Which I did not like that play, but that happens. I mean, it's a smart play. I would have rather gone for the touchdown and just said, "Hey, we're going to stop you again." But I was like, I don't want to have him maybe block this thing. God
Right.
forbid. It's going to, you know what I mean? When you wait to the last second.
Oh, what do you
That's
got,
it.
dude?
SpongeBob.
Yo, SpongeBob is the true OG right there, dude.
But
Think about it, kid.
Again! Good! Good!
Go play on the couch, buddy. But that's my last solid ones. I just don't think the Ravens are good enough to be in the very good yet, just because how they've lost games. Like, you can't lose games like that and expect to be very good.
I feel like I'm gonna get hate for my very goods, but it's all good.
No, it's okay. Like, I have a couple.
I
of
haven't given you
that-
my solids yet. It's one of my bigger groups, but if you're ready, I'll
No,
go.
Yeah, you're good.
So on my solids, and even though I dropped them down pretty far in my power rankings, I have the Rams in solid. I feel as though that this team still is talented enough to where they're probably going to be in the mix in the playoff run. Could I see them not making the playoffs? Sure, but I can still see them making the playoffs as like a wild card team. Obviously, you got Matt Stafford. He's not playing to the best of his ability. A lot of that is because the offensive line's playing really bad. They're not as deep at wide receiver as they are last year because they lost players. Some guys haven't shown up. They've had injuries. They're kind of leaning on 2 guys. People are freaking out about the fact that they can't run the football and that they're not really running the football. And yes, right now it would really help them if they could establish the run a little bit. But remember, this team was 27th in rushing last year and won the Super Bowl. So don't fucking freak out too much. They might go to the run and play a little more balanced because their passing offense isn't as great as it normally is. Defensively, they're just playing bad, in my opinion. I think they're playing bad based on their personnel. But also, I've also talked a lot about how, right now, I'd have to go look at the deeper analytics and go watch more of Bobby Wagner play, but I don't think Bobby Wagner adding him to that mix has really helped one of the worst linebacking cores last year. Losing Von Miller's fucking huge, but they still got some solid secondary pieces. This team's still going to be a tough out. They got enough talent on both sides of the ball where you can't just roll into the Rams thinking you're just going to steamroll the Rams. And it's not like they're losing by a shit ton. A lot of these games are close. So I still think the Rams are a solid football team. And I'm kind of hoping that, they get a little continuity and get a little consistency together because it's like they have the personnel to win football games. They're just not consistent. They're just really disjointed. Not everyone's not on the same page, but I still think they're a solid football team. Send it 2-2. Titans are another solid football team. The Titans, I think it's hard. So the Titans are a hard read because I think they're understanding that they have to go back to their formula of playing a balanced style of football where they are balanced. They mix in the passes really well, but it's more leaning on the run and efficient runs. Again, the Titans have been one of the only teams lately who can efficiently run the football. A lot of teams run the football a lot, but they don't truly efficiently run the football. The Titans are a team that, when they're fully healthy, have the ability to do so. Still got talent on both sides of the ball, a lot of young weapons. I do like the defensive personnel, and I think that if they find their identity on offense and they can play solid defense, I think this team's going to start to climb closer, be back in the mix. I still think they could possibly win this division because it's not really all that good. But the problem is that's their style of football, especially with losing the pieces they have. It'll be enough to get them more towards being a playoff team, but it's not going to be enough to make a run in the playoffs or nothing like that. But I think this team's a solid football team that has a trajectory of staying solid. And I think that's where they'll stay. They'll stay solid.
But they might run into those stangles again, you know?
Yeah. Dallas. Dallas is one of my solid teams. Obviously, Cooper Rush is playing good enough to keep the ship afloat, which is all they asked of him until Dak comes back. CeeDee Lamb hasn't been playing to the best of his ability, but playing well enough, even though he's been the only serious target. But I like that Brown, that kid number, what's his name? What number is he? His last name's Brown. Noah Brown? Is it Noah Brown? Anyways,
No, I think.
Noah
Yeah,
Brown,
Noah, yeah.
underrated. He stepped up big in the absence. So if they got Gallup back, he scored a touchdown his first game. Those three, they might have a little something there. And they got guys like Turpin that can come in for speed, that can return punts and kicks. We got to see what they get out of the young wide receivers they picked up, like Jalen Tolbert. Where the fuck's he been? He needs to step up. Still got Dalton Schultz. He's been nicked up a little bit. Offensive line, who would have thunk it? Still playing pretty well. Left tackle, left guard grading out well. Center, right guard grading out real well. Terrence Steele playing well. They obviously have the capability to run it if they want to. But they are going to stay balanced, especially until Dak comes back. I still think this is a solid offense. Pass rush, nasty. They got waves of dudes they can throw at you. The pass rush. Dorrance Armstrong's nasty. Obviously got Micah Parsons, and like everyone's like, oh, well, he's been quiet in terms of sacks, but he's still gotten a lot of pressures the past 2 games. In his second year in the league, they're having to double and triple team this dude every single fucking play. Stop freaking out about sack totals and watch what adjustments teams have to make just to slow that kid down. And I'm telling you, all they're doing is slowing that kid down. He's a fucking animal. Where this team can definitely be had is their run defense hasn't been great through 4 games. You could run the ball on this football team. And you got to pick your poison. If Micah Parsons was playing Mike or Will, it'd probably be a lot harder to rush the ball on this team. But depending on your philosophy, pass rush is a premium. If he's going to pass rush that's good, you got to fucking leave him on the edge and let him pass rush with these guys. You can't play him in the middle. Secondary playing better than people thought they were going to play. Trevon Diggs playing better and more efficient than people thought he was going to play. I hope he keeps that up. I'd rather have efficiency than turnovers in the secondary. And he's showing that like he can play more efficient and he still tried to get turnovers. So he's got 1 or 2 picks already through 4 games. This team's a solid football team right now. They get Dak back. I personally believe they will be better with Dak. Dak is a lot more efficient, more accurate, has a bigger arm, a lot more mobile. It's a solid football team. Chargers are in the solid for me. So a lot of people probably won't like this one, but the Chargers are just so fucking beat up. They're just injured on both sides of the football. And because of that, they're just not playing cohesive as a team. You lose your left guard. You're one of the best left tackles in the league. You don't got a backup plan for that. Having to rely on Eckler a lot, which Eckler's solid and stuff. And the defense has not, in my opinion, even with the injuries, the defense hasn't been as good as I think people thought it was going to be. I thought the defense was going to be a lot better. So right now, until they get healthy and show some consistency, I think this team is a solid team. I love Justin Herbert. He's fantastic. He's playing dinged up, beat up. Coaching, they make a lot of wild decisions. One thing I have always agreed with Adam, depending on the situation, man, you got to take points. And let's be honest, they've had some games where they don't take the points, and it directly correlates to them losing the game. They win by 1, 2, 3, or whatever they lose by. So coaching, a little bit of a question mark there. Giants are solid for me so far through 4 games. I don't think their wins have aged as well as people like to think. I mean, a little bit more so with the Titans game, but they haven't really played great competition. I like the push they're getting up front in the run. Barkley's healthy. Barkley's still dynamic. Like I said, I think they're scheming him smarter, using a lot of plays where he can cut out right or left and get out to the boundary. I like to see them use him a little bit more in the passing game, get him out in space with one-on-one. I mean, you're not unless you're in a very, very elite efficient linebacker, you're not tackling that dude one-on-one. He's just gonna run by you. Defensively, front seven, pretty damn good. Not playing too bad. They need to tighten the bolts a little bit with the linebackers. Need to tackle better, a little more efficiency. But hey, those linebackers, they come hard. They play really tough. Tay Crowder's not that efficient, but Tay Crowder hits the fuck out of people. We've been, oh, there he is. Oh, hey, show us. Hey, at TV Cribs, show us around. Let's see what you got. Show us around. Hey, hey, whoa, okay, my bad, dude. What did you tell me? Tell me that's a fucking toothpick in your mouth, dude. This dude's not even playing. What do you got?
No, this is like from a shirt.
Dude, perfect timing. Tell us what you think about the fucking Giants, dude.
Giants?
Yeah. We have them both in our solid bracket through 4 games. We're saying they're a solid football team.
Yeah. Established the run game really well, Fucking Saquon's the leading rusher in the league right now, so, it's going to be kind of hard to stop him. But as all of us know, they always get this injury bug going on, dude, and it's the end of the world for them. So I got him fighting with Dallas for the number 2 spot in the division, though.
You think it's going to be a battle eventually for those 2 guys for second place?
Yeah. And we know who's going to take number 1, let's be honest.
I want to be an Eagle, baby. Yeah, let's go. What are you up to, dude?
Well, nothing. I just got out of the shower. I'm trying to put this fucking table in. I'm trying to put this dining room set together, but it takes forever. Fucking.
Oh, there you go. Okay, my bad. Oh, there's a chunky cat, dude. Yeah, I was saying basically my analysis of the. Oh hey, what's up, mama?
Hi.
How's things going?
Shitty.
Yeah, you feel like you're gonna pop?
Yes.
Yeah, that
I'm
dude.
pain.
Listen, I was having a conversation with the ladies at work. I'm like the only guy on my team at my job. And all the time, it's constant, like, their time of the month. They all know what it's like to have kids. All these, I'm like, I'm so happy that I'm a dude, man. Pissing standing up is like the easiest thing ever. Like, fucking,
Those puffs that girls can use.
The pain. Listen, I pound for pound, giving birth is probably like one of the most painful things you can experience, right? But I do think it's a little wild when they say it's the most painful thing. Getting your arm chopped off is crazier, more painful probably than having a kid, But still, but imagine that. Just imagine that popping a child out of your box, like a living creature. Your just legs are up and the baby's like coming out. Hey, you better be careful over there. That comb. That's how you becoming a dad, dude. With that comb and towel, kid. You better fucking watch yourself. But yeah, my assessment of the Giants was that they're running the football. They're running the football well. I do like their front seven. They need to tighten the bolts up in the linebacker core, like in terms of tackling. The pass coverage needs to tighten up a little bit, but I do love some of the young players in the pass coverage. Tay Crowder, not that efficient tackler, but he comes up and that dude's coming downhill. He's not fucking around when he's coming downhill. That dude's coming down, setting tone, hitting people. Here's the thing: the defense, it's solid, but I don't think it's good enough and efficient enough, cohesive enough right now to stop like an Eagles team from scoring a bunch of points on them, or a Chiefs team, or a Bills team. scoring a bunch of points on them. And I think that's where, even though the defense is probably the strongest part of the whole team right now, I just don't think it's enough to stop those upper echelon teams. But I still think the team's solid. What really holds the team back, though, is they can't throw the fucking football down the field. They can't pass the ball at all. It's one of the worst wide receiving cores in the NFL. We've beat this to a drum, and it's just the truth. You paid $20 million a year for a dude who's a fucking could stretch the field a little bit and catch 50-50 balls. All the rest of your wide receivers are role-playing wide receivers that get hurt a lot. The wide receiver, who's the kid, Darren, Chad? Who's the kid that's on their team that was a rookie last year? Who's athletic?
Kadarius Toney.
Okay, so Kadarius Toney has a lot of upside, but his style of play, he's meant to complement a number one. He hasn't shown us anything saying that he's a number one. A number one guy should be able to do everything. Get down the field, run the whole route tree, run after the catch, 50-50 balls, all that. He's not a number one.
No.
But you paid Kenny Galladay all this money to be your number one, and he's not doing anything alongside these role players. People gotta do their homework on some of the stuff they talk about. Kenny Galladay did not get a multi-year offer from any other team. Most teams offered him 1-year deals. I'm pretty sure someone might have offered him a 2-year deal, but they were like prove it deals. You need to prove it because he was hurt and he only had, he only had like 2 years of production. Like 1.5 years of production. Like he came on down the stretch in 1 year and then had a good year after. Hurt, not dynamic, not overtly athletic. He's not a number one. You couple with how unhealthy and how not good the receiving core is with Daniel Jones's like inability to make good decisions, read the field, doesn't take a lot of shots down the field when he's supposed to. That's probably the biggest thing that's holding this team back. Daniel Jones does do enough, and the scheme does do enough to complement the run game enough to where they could spell Saquon a little bit with designed underneath throws and stuff. Daniel Jones shows at time he can be accurate in the field, in the middle of the field, but there's just not enough juice. You're going to come against really good teams that can play really good run defense, and you can't score enough. And they got a tougher schedule coming up. So they're playing super tough, and I think they're really solid right now. They're 3-1. But when they start, what are you throwing in there, dude? When they start playing the more upper echelon teams that have a lot more playmakers on both sides of the ball, it might be tough for them. So for right now, I have them solid.
For that pickup for Galladay, I think they did that only because they wanted to show that they are trying to get weapons around their quarterback before they just throw him to the curb. Because if they say, "Oh, we didn't give him weapons," they got him a weapon. I think that's the reason why they threw that out there. They should have gave him like a 2 instead of a 3. Or whatever they gave him, 3 or 4, whatever it was.
And I just think that's bad business, too. Like, okay, so people forget the business aspect of football. And I know you guys know this. Like, I still don't understand the whole drafting a running back in the first round thing, no matter how good they are. But if your team's fucking ass and you draft a guy like Saquon Barkley from college, like, it's gonna sell tickets. It's gonna drive up revenue. People are gonna want to watch him because he's fucking dynamic and shit. But I really don't believe any running back upgrades your team enough unless you have the right stuff on the team already. I don't think if a bad team gets a running back, you can be Walter Payton. It doesn't fucking upgrade your team from a bad team to a fucking playoff team. So yeah, the Giants, solid football team for me. What's the other teams I got? I have Jags in solid. You had them in question mark, right, Chad?
Yeah, I did.
Punani. I have the. What's that?
Solid.
Yeah, I have the Jags in solid. So the reason why I have the Jags in solid is because they went out and spent a lot of money on guys that aren't super great. Some of them didn't deserve the price tag heading into their contract, but they are getting really good play out of all the guys that they signed. So yes, the team as a whole has been elevated and upgraded, but not to the price tag that you would want that elevation to reach. Christian Kirk did not deserve his contract, but he's come in and played really, really well though for them. So he's starting to earn the money. They picked up a lot of players on defense that are good, some guys in the secondary that are solid players. They lately have been drafting front seven players. All those guys are starting to pan out. Kayvon Chason, he's okay, but they kind of just put him in sub packages and just use his athleticism off the edge. But they're playing fundamentally sound football on the defensive side of the ball. They're playing tough, athletic defense. Andre Sisco, strong safety, played for the University of Syracuse, underrated player, graded out really well in college, making big plays through 4 games. They still showing that they can run the fucking football with a dude who blew his fucking Achilles out. Offensive line solid, but the big key to the whole thing is Trevor Lawrence. He's just playing confident. He's playing confident and composed, spreading the pill all over the place, is delivering it to his playmakers. If this team keeps going on the trajectory they're going in, they could win their division and they could be a playoff team. They could definitely be a wild card team. The problem is with teams that have a lot of young players, Giants are in the same boat. Both the Giants are 3-1 right now. The Jags are 2-2. The big key thing for these two teams is, are they going to stay healthy, and are they going to stay consistent with a lot of young players on the team? I like that. A lot of young players on the team. Can they consistently, step up and play game to game? It's a long season. It's a long season. It's a long road. Guys get beat up. You got to stay composed throughout the season. So that's one of my biggest things with the Giants and the Jags, too. Can they build on what they've done now, and can they keep these young guys on the same page and stay consistent? They got a lot of young, good players that are playing well. So the Jags I have solid for me. And the last one in my solids is the Ravens. I thought the Ravens would be like in pretty good or contender status this time, 4 games in. They did improve on both sides of the ball, but there's still definitely some wicked deficiencies. Their linebacking core still isn't great in coverage. They're still not efficient downhill tacklers. They got good, they got a good front. But like they're even not playing efficiently in their defensive backs. I think they got good defensive back personnel. They're just not playing as well as I thought they would play. And then we've still seen that Lamar Jackson can be hit and miss. We've still seen that, he can have his games of brilliance, and then he can have his games where he's subpar. And when you have the talent that you have, this offensive line solid, you got some talented young running backs. He doesn't have the weaponry yet, like some of these upper echelon teams. That offense is really predicated on how efficient he is and how well he runs the football. And if you don't get his top tier A grade performance, it really slices in half how well they can move the ball, in my opinion. So the Ravens, they're the last team in my solid. They're definitely probably going to be a playoff team, most likely. Who are your very good teams, Chad?
I put Packers in there.
Okay.
I think they're not like,
oh, we'll get to the
elite
Eagles,
contenders.
Cud.
They're not elite contenders only because how they've been playing down to people. They played down to they played down to the Patriots. That they should have beat the Patriots team hands down, and it came down to overtime. And that should not have been that close.
Side note, speaking of overtime, are we playing Warzone after we get off here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
And then I just think their wide receiver core is going to start getting a little better. They have a good run game. The defense isn't bad. They have a good secondary over there, and everything. I just don't think they're elite yet, just because how they've been playing down the certain teams. Like at least 2 wins they've had, they played down the teams and almost lost. It's to me, it's just crazy. The next after that, I have the Bengals. I don't think they're fully up and ready for like elite contenders, only because like the same thing. They're 2-2. I think they just started off really slow, but obviously time will tell, and we'll know by week 8. But it's just at this point, I think they're just very good. They definitely had games where they didn't play well enough, but they're getting better. They're swinging up now. They started off slow. They're starting to speed up. I have the Dolphins on here as well. Yeah, surprisingly, even with Tua gone, I think they're gonna bring Tua back probably this
Steady
week if they could. Get it.
Teddy.
Yeah.
That's Adam's
I think
kryptonite right there. Steady Teddy. Adam sees Steady Teddy with those gloves coming. He fucking his blood pressure goes. Yeah, dude. Blood pressure goes
this
up.
this Jets Dolphins game. I think the Jets take it. I think the Jets take this Jets
Oh,
Dolphins game.
okay. Did you put that in a parlay?
I'm gonna give them.
Okay.
I'm gonna obviously take the Jets with the 3.5 though. You know, I'm gonna
Sauce.
say money line. Yeah, but I think the Dolphins they have a nasty wide receiver setup. Even that they have a good tight end, they have good weapons and they have a good defense. They've always had a decent defense. Now they have the weapons on offense. Like Waddle was good last year, but now you have him opposite Tyreek. He's going to get targets.
They could fucking.
One of them-
They could scheme those dudes up anywhere. Slot, drag, boundary, down the sideline, cross the fucking. Give it a ride, Talents. Take the post. They can do it all, dude.
I think the Waddle Hill setup this year it's like
It's nasty.
the years past. It's like the years past of the Seattle Seahawks. I can't think of their names off the top of my head now. Lockett and
Oh, DK.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Like one of them goes off either game.
Yeah.
Either they block one or they don't. Either one gets blanketed enough and what they don't get the targets.
Well, I don't
And
think
the
we've
other
ever. I don't think we've ever seen a mix of explosiveness that are this good together. Like you've seen a lot of great duos. Like there was Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. There was Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. You know, like you think of all the dynamic duos you had. You had Wes Welker and fucking Randy Moss together on the Patriots. Like there was a lot of duos. TJ Houshmandzadeh, Chad Johnson, Anquan Bolden, and Larry Fitzgerald. These two together, though, like the amount of explosiveness and speed between these dudes, and how better Jalen Waddle's gotten running routes, and how good they are after the catch. That's why this offense is so good. It's, you know what it reminds me of? They don't run the ball. They don't scheme the run up the way that the 49ers do. But they layer their routes similar to how the 49ers do. The 49ers are all about get the ball in your best dude's hand and fucking let them go work and shake. And that's what these Dolphins do. It's just a different coat of paint.
No, I believe it. Like I said, I'm saying they're a good team.
Shake,
they just
rattle,
have to.
and roll.
I think I don't know. They're decent. They're a good team. I just don't think they're elite contenders. Only, especially with Tua being hurt, you can't trust Bridgewater, and then you have Skyler as their backup to the backup at this point. But who knows? I guess he's like the second coming of Tom Brady. Some people say, which I think is ridiculous. But you know,
Who?
that's what I heard. Some Dolphins fans have been saying. I watched them then too.
Ooh, all right.
No
whatever.
joke.
Hey,
I'm not kidding.
you got any more?
Anyway.
You got any more in your very good category?
I got two more. I got the Vikings on here.
Okay, my bad.
I think they're playing well. They're playing with their competitors. Their run game's still just as good. They still have Jefferson and Thielen. Thielen hasn't been getting as much targets, but he's starting to get them.
Thielen, the great white hope.
Great.
Don't talk about Thielen.
He's
Adam will
good.
come through the fucking ceiling on you and be like, "You fucking."
I think Adam just counts Cup as not white because
Yeah.
he plays so well.
He's one of us.
But no, I just think they've been playing good enough, and Captain Kirk over there has been playing decent enough for him. You know, he's been playing. I think he's been playing above average this year. Not great, but like above average, giving him better play. And their defense is solid for what it is. And the last team I have on here, which seems. I put the Chargers on here. I know they're all banged up right now, but I don't know. I don't know the roster when they're coming back. If they're out for the year, if they're out for like a couple too many games.
Thought Slater's
I see
out
them-
for the year.
I
Bose is
see
out
them
for a
if they
while.
make it into the postseason. I think they can do something, but that's if they can rally everything. If they don't rally these next couple of games, they're going down a couple slots. Even with what they had come. It's the Chargers. What happens to them. They come into the season. They have all these great players. They have all this potential, and then week 3 or 4, everything just shits the bed on them. Either it's bad play calling, it's whatever it is, bad kicking. They just lose games. They just don't win that well. I don't know what it is with them. They should have been in the playoffs the past 3 years, but they haven't. At least to me, they should have been in the playoffs at least the past 2. And they just destroyed themselves. It's just a self-explosion. But I don't know. That's what I have for those teams.
Those were all your very goods?
Yeah, that's all my very goods.
All right, so this is like my shortest list, my very goods. Because I think there's a lot of 2-2 teams that could all just fucking suck against one another. One of these teams is a team that I had a hard time if I didn't know if I wanted to place them in good or very good. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, considering what I've been seeing. I agree with you. Vikings are in the very good. And it's mostly because they have a really good offensive line. They're really balanced on offense. They're super explosive in the pass game. They got a multitude of dudes they can throw the ball to, whether it's the tight ends, whether it's their slot receivers. Obviously, they got 2 high-level wide receivers. One, some people would argue, is the best wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson. The only problem with this team offensively is Kirk Cousins, as good as this offense is, and the offensive line's gotten a lot better. Yeah, swaggy Kirk. He's got to step up. Like, he's got a window here this year and next year. He needs to shit or get off the pot. He needs to stop being bad in primetime games. He needs to stop being bad in the playoffs. And I don't know if he's got to see a fucking sports psychologist, Chael Sonnen. I don't give a fuck. Okay, my bad over there. What do you got, dude?
Chicken Nibbler.
Oh, okay. Well, Chicken Nibblers looks like Chad Toes over there, dude. Yeah, he needs to do something because he plays, and honestly, in my opinion, he plays fantastic every single year. Past 4 years.
Hold on. How are you guys breaking this up?
So we broke it down just to have a little structure to make it fun. We could just quickly, without telling you why, we could run through each one for you so you can hear what we did. We started with basement/rebuild teams, not good teams, which are teams that are better than the basement teams, but still not that great. Question mark teams that like we think could have any direction of projection, like they could eventually be solid or they could just be garbage by the end of the year. Then we had solid teams, which are teams that are pretty good and solid and could possibly make the playoffs or will make the playoffs. Then we had very good teams, which are teams that clearly could beat a lot of the solid teams 9 times out of 10, 7 to 9 times out of 10. Then we had the teams that we think are elite contenders, teams that we think could either get a very deep playoff run or vie for the title. But we'll run back over them after we get through them for you, so you can see where we place them all. But yeah, the Vikings. My only issue with the Vikings is Kirk needs to be consistent, fucking all year round, no matter what. Stop being a punani. Second thing with the Vikings is, yeah, fuck.
Isn't his thing like the playoffs where he doesn't do that well?
Playoffs, he doesn't play well, and then primetime games, he doesn't do. Primetime's game, they might as well trot one of us out there. He just doesn't show up. The other thing for me is they have really good defensive personnel, in my opinion. I love a lot of the players on the defense. Not cohesive enough, not tight enough, not efficient enough. Have given up a lot of points to teams they shouldn't give a lot of points up to. They got blown out by the Eagles, if I recall. Like, they couldn't get nothing going against them. You know, and the Eagles are really good. Obviously, as you know, the Eagles are probably in both of our contenders brackets, right? So, there's other teams that you can't give up all the points, and then a lot of teams have given up points to this team, but you can't. You can't give up points to Detroit. You just can't give up points to that team. So, Vikings, they're very good. It for mostly hinges on me. Is Kirk going to step up? And is their defense going to tighten up the leagues? For all the same reasons you had the Dolphins. I love the Dolphins. They're fucking team. I love their personnel. They're deep everywhere. They shored up the offensive line. Their running backs aren't that great. People freak over Chase Edmonds. But what they're doing is they're running the ball efficiently. They're throwing the ball and then running the ball when you should or need to run the ball. And because they're doing that, their runs are very effective and efficient when they decide to do it. Just so happens, they're passing the ball really efficiently. Team's super fucking explosive. Their front seven's nasty. They got waves of defensive linemen they can throw at you, and then their secondary's nasty too. I do think, as you've seen against the Bengals, the secondary, I don't think the secondary's athletic enough to take dudes on a man-to-man all the time. You got to be very, very exceptional and have exceptional skills to consistently play man. I think one of the biggest reasons why we got over on them is because down the stretch they were trying to play press man and single high safety, and they got torched by T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But still, I love the defensive personnel. If Tua comes back and he can not fucking hit his noggin and all that shit, like, this team's going to be a playoff team. I think this team will be a playoff team even with Teddy Bridgewater, because this team, this offense is designed to just get the ball in the playmakers' hands. I see Teddy. They trotted Teddy out, and I seen his all-time stat line. Super efficient, super accurate, throwing a lot of touchdowns, won a lot of football games. Especially in this offense, where all he needs to do is be accurate on crossing routes in the middle of the field and manage the game. With these weapons, they can still win a lot of football games with Teddy Bridgewater. So Dolphins are in very good. Then I got my Bengals very good. Some people would put them in solid. Some people might even put them up as a contender, even though they're 2-2. I'm putting them at very good because there's some things that I've seen out of them that I don't like. Obviously, can't shit the bed against teams you should beat. This team, in all honesty, let's be real, this team should be 4-0. Our first two games, they lost to two teams they should steamroll, and everyone freaked out over the Steelers. Look where they're at. Took 5 turnovers, a bad game from our quarterback, and a bunch of special teams bullshit for a team to barely beat us, and I was at that fucking game. I got my money's worth, but it was brutal at the same fucking time. And the team's too dynamic on both sides of the ball. The two areas that I'm annoyed with is, obviously, we're not professional coaches, but I mean, we've played football, we watched football our whole entire lives. I do get annoyed with the play calling sometimes. A big part of the reason why we went on that Super Bowl run, even though we weren't the best team in the league, was because they let the fucking chains off Joe Burrow and the playmakers, and they let them go out there and take games over. Last week, we fucking ran the ball 5,000 times with Joe Mixon for like 60 yards. You can't run into brick walls. Teams do it all the time. They get into close games, they get a lead, they get comfortable. They fucking attempts. They run the ball a shit ton. Mix Joe Mixon in and the running backs in a more layered way. Get them out on the perimeter. Throw them the football. Throw the ball to your 3-headed monster. Yeah, you gotta fucking throw the ball to the playmakers. Burrow's starting to wake up, starting to play more responsive, more efficient. I think they're gonna improve into a positive record this weekend. I really do. We're playing a Ravens team that on paper has improved a tad, but they didn't get strong where we stomped them the last 2 times we played them. We put up 40 points on them both times. They're not gonna be able to stop T. Higgins. They're not gonna be able to stop Tyler Boyd. It was those 2 guys that really destroyed them last year because they were always trying to double team Chase. Go ahead, double team Chase. Might not be Chase's biggest game, but I really think we can do whatever we want to this team. If we stop Lamar Jackson, we can even just slow him down. We should win this football game and improve to 3-2. So, defensively, need to tighten it up a little bit on the fucking defensive end too. Sometimes the pass rush is non-existent. It didn't show up until we played the fucking Jets, and that shit needs to stop. Our defensive ends need to start getting pressure and hopefully get home as well as an added plus. So yeah, my Bengals are in my very good. Who are your elite contenders? Because mine's bigger than mine's bigger than my very good list.
Oh, you had 3 there?
I only had 3. Vikings, Dolphins, and Bengals are my very good teams.
So, okay. First, I got Tampa and contenders. I think even with that game Like with Tampa with the Chiefs going over the Tampa. I just think Tampa's gonna play well. They're gonna play well no matter what. They have a decent defense. I know they're missing. I think they're missing some pieces at the moment. Some people are hurt, I think, or whatever it is. Like maybe some of their line front seven are missing. Or
Offensively, they've had guys hurt. The offensive line, they got season-ending injuries. Godwin has been nicked up.
Yeah, I just see them as good. They've been playing well enough where they're a contender still. Until they're not a contender, they're gonna unless they completely shit the bed, they're gonna be winning that division. The Saints aren't playing that well. The Saints were the only hope. That's not coming into it. So they're gonna at least get into the playoffs and be playing at home. That's gonna help them out.
Yeah.
Then I have the Chiefs. Chiefs they're playing well without Hill. I mean, they have pass wide receivers as well. They're not playing as well as they would if they had Hill there, but they're still playing well.
It's a different coat of paint. Spreading the pill.
Yep, Mahomes is still Mahomes. He's still escaping all these sacks and just running 90 yards to throw it like 10. But he's still getting the first down. That's all it damn matters. Okay? As long as it gets past the sticks, that's all that matters. So he can run 50 yards down the field, 30 yards around, and he'll throw a pass 40 yards to get 5-10 yards for the first down. And it just happens. He does flick passes, everything. He's like this generation's Tom Brady, where like you hate like his like, but he's a cocky Tom Brady. He's cocky because he knows he's great and he shows it, and there's nothing you can say about it because he proves it. You know what I mean? So he's gonna bring his team around. The defense, it's starting to in the upward direction, so it's getting better. It's not the greatest, but they always had the average. An average run with that. Then I got the Bills in there as well. I think if the Bills have hit the injury bug mad this year,
and still playing well.
I mean, so like I'm telling you, if Poyer would have played in that Dolphins game,
relax here, Chad. All right.
If Poyer would have played in that Dolphins game, we'd be 4-0 at this point. I would, because we only
lost.
Like, honestly,
Chad's like, I will bet my house, I will bet my car, I will bet my kids. No.
Honestly, we still should have won. We still should have won because Josh missed a throw. And it was on Josh. He missed that throw in McKenzie in the end zone.
Well,
that should have been.
Yeah, but then there's also unless you want to talk about McKenzie for a second, his dumbass.
And then him not running the bounds. And then also our backup, the backup center.
He makes the dude miss, can clearly run for the fucking sideline, cuts it back inside. It's like I would rather take a field goal that's longer from where my normal dude's distance is than not have a shot. He should have gotten out of bounds. I don't give a fuck if the field goal is 65 yards. That's the last play.
Could have kicked it. But what killed me on that was we were missing our center, and the backup center was doing. It was not. There was no real. I don't know. Right before the end of the first half, that snap that ended up screwing that like field goal kick there that would have helped us out. Anyways, I think we have our defense has been playing solid even with tons of rookies and like second years. Yeah, and Von Miller has been a huge boost.
Who Von?
He's got, I think, 3 sacks this year so far. And then Poyer's playing well, even though he's not going to play this game because of rib injuries and whatnot. But he has 4 picks already in 3 games.
What? Poyer does?
Yeah, 4 picks.
That's crazy.
He's playing well. He had 2 against Vermont. So, it's I don't know if we can like keep a steady pace, win the division out, get into the playoffs, help with a healthy Poyer. It'll be nice.
So here's my thing, and I know we've kind of picked on him a little bit. He's not here or whatnot, but I love it when dudes with really good teams talk about like when they're nicked up, and still playing well. I was like, Adam will tell you that, like, oh, it's injuries. It's why my Giants are so bad. It's like, dude, you can't compare your team to, like, the Bills roster. Like, it's just, they're not. It's just night and day between the two. Like, I know injuries suck, but the Bills have been playing amazing with injuries. Like, it's nuts. They've had a lot of guys injured, and they're still one of the best teams in the league. Who's your next team?
The Eagles.
Oh, he dipped
My
out
last
too. Shoot the
My last
shot.
one's
Shoot
the
the
Eagles.
shot on the Eagles, dog.
I think the Eagles are gonna. They're 4-0. They're gonna do well. I think it's gonna be interesting when they get a bigger competition boost. They still have had competition. The Vikings are a good team. They've had good competition. I just think they're gonna get better competition in the future. The first 6 weeks of their schedule was a little bit lighter than the back half, and that's what's really that's what's gonna bring them into the playoffs. I still think they're gonna win their division. That's not a doubt. I could honestly see, which would be wild. Could you imagine this? Eagles Bills play in the Super Bowl.
That'd be a wild one. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I mean, they would have the we're decent at keeping Lamar in the pocket as much as we can, but they have a better rush attack than the Ravens do. Better defense. So I mean, I think it'd be a good game with everyone fully healthy. I think it'd be a really good competitive game.
Yeah.
And I think they can get in there. You got to see how Jalen's going to play in the postseason. That's the only thing. Jalen can play as well as he wants. Jalen can play as well as he wants in the normal season, but once he gets to the postseason, we're gonna have to see how he's going to play. Because I know they got in last year, right?
What's that? They got in. They got bounced in the first round by the Buccaneers.
I think Jalen didn't have the best game either. Obviously, he got a little bit better, but you know what I mean. And they have better weapons now, so it is pretty much a completely different team in a sense, offensive wise, because AJ Brown just adds such a different demeanor to it. But I think it really comes down to how comfortable Jalen Hurts is going to be in the postseason. If he treats it like it's like another game, they're going to be fine. He just can't let the pressure get to him, pretty much. And that's my last team.
So I'll do mine. Mine's a little bigger. Tampa will be a contender. Hopefully they're as healthy as they can be. Tom's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's fucking throwing darts all over the place. Against the right matchups, they should be able to run the football because they were solid at running the football last year. But they're so dynamic through the air. Tom just makes great decisions getting the ball to these playmakers. They have a stacked wide receiver and tight end group. Defensively, even though they gave up a fuck ton of points to the Chiefs, which is expected, and I know in the playoffs we don't really freak out about defense enough, but still, the defense is still capable of shutting teams down under the right circumstances. Yep. They probably have the best front seven in football, arguably. And their backside's not anything to sniff at. Jamel Dean, Davis, Murphy Bunting, they got good safeties. This team's deep, and it's just really well coached, and Tom's just a fucking monster. Like, he's an absolute monster. So this team, they're going to win their division. They'll win 10-plus games still, even with the injuries probably. They'll probably win they'll probably go like 10-7, 11-6, something like that. Because they don't need to – they can rest guys. This division's going to be bad. They don't need to fucking go full bore. They can go 10-7, 11-6, sneak in the playoffs, and go on a run. I have the Packers. So a lot of the reason why I have the Packers and the contenders is I think if you look across the board, most of the teams in my solid and very good teams are AFC teams. The NFC is not really that good right now. It just really isn't. And I think the Packers have an easier path to going on a playoff run than a lot of the teams in the AFC do. The AFC is going to be a fucking gauntlet. Like, who the fuck knows? You don't know what's going to happen over in the AFC. If this team goes on the trajectory I think it can go on, if the defense tightens it the fuck up, they have a nasty front seven, really good defensive backs. If this team can tighten it all together and they can get a little more discipline out of these young wide receivers, they don't drop the ball, stuff like that. And if they stay balanced, Rodgers makes the plays when he can make the plays, this team's going to run away with their division probably. I'm looking at it now, and as much as I do like the Vikings, I think that when you push the chips all the way in, and if both teams play the best of their ability, I do think the Packers can come out on the other end and beat the Vikings and take this division. Jake's trying to get in here. Can you hear us, Jake? Jake? I don't know. I can't hear him. I can't see him. But to me, the Packers right now, and then for all intents and purposes, there he is. What's up, dude? Just so you know, a little quick backstory. You can say whatever you want. Obviously, add in whatever.
So
we bracketed all the teams through the first 4 weeks into tiers just now. Chad and I, and we had teams that are in the basement or rebuilding, teams that are not good, teams that are question mark teams that are solid, teams that are very good, and then contenders. And right now, Chad and I have divulged. Well, Chad already divulged his contenders. I'm currently divulging my contenders and why I think they are contenders. So right now, I'm talking about the Packers. I do think when push comes to the shove, Rodgers doesn't fucking fold under pressure 9 times out of 10. Offensive line's one of the best in the league. 2-headed run and attack. The defense will be up to snuff by the end of the year. If this team stays healthy, I can already see it now. They're going to take advantage of the Vikings and beat them. The Vikings got too many deficiencies. What are you making over there, dude? So I do think they're a contender. I do think that they can make it to the NFC Championship like they've been doing a lot. Now, I'm not saying this team's going to win. Who knows who's going to win? It could be teams we'll have sleeper teams that make it into the playoffs. The old collegiate concoction, huh? Okay. So here's the team that's going to surprise a lot of people that's in my contenders because they're a 2-2 team. Fucking 49ers, baby, number 5 on my power rankings. You want to go see my week 5? I know. You want to see my week 5 power rankings? I've jumped them all the way up into the top 10. 49ers, they have one of the best defensive front sevens in the whole entire league. Their front seven's fucking nasty. In my opinion right now, the best linebacker combination is Greenlaw and fucking Fred Warner. They have a lot of really good young defensive backs. That defense, front to back with Joey Bosa and all those, or not Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa and all those guys, that defense is going to be one of the best. They'll be a top 5 defense at the end of the year. That team's they are right now, and that team's nasty. They got young, really good instinctive players, really good offensive line. Their offensive line right now is grading out. I think it's like the 6th best offensive line, and they're missing the best left tackle in football. And a lot of the offense comes down to scheme. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo, as much as I've hated on him over the years, he's gotten better the past 2 years. But it's because he's gotten better at the shit that he needs to optimize in this offense for it to work. Be accurate short. Be accurate in the middle of the field. Try not to turn the ball over. Get the ball to all the playmakers. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, all the different tight ends, Kittle, Kyle Hughes, check. It doesn't matter in the system who runs the fucking football. They have different guys every time run the football. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. The scheme's so good. They do such a great job and all their different odd packages, putting dudes in motion, disguising who's going to get the ball, what way the run play goes, how the fucking all the fucking routes are layered. This scheme is just so good with enough good personnel. They're really good on both sides of the football. If Jimmy Garoppolo cannot fuck it up, they will go on a fucking playoff run. This is the best 2-2 team. The best 2-2 team. You got a question, Jake?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. It's exactly what you said to piggyback off of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that he's because they want to start Trey Lance over him this season, and obviously he got hurt. I think got like this Cooper Rush thing going on. Like, what do I have to lose? I'm gonna go out there and fucking just get after it. And with all the weapons you mentioned already, Debo, and I love Brandon Ayuk, and he's got Kittle.
Jennings.
I think
who's the Jennings kid, right? Who's their tall receiver that catches everything? It's Jennings or something like that. They got a bunch of weapons.
But you're right to bring it home. You're right. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is playing with, hey, I've got nothing to lose. Let's go out there and sling this motherfucker. And I think you're right. I think they're going to go at least back to the NFC Championship for sure.
You think they can go to the NFC Championship?
I think they're going to go. They're going to get that far, and that's it.
It's going to be either one of 3 teams in the NFC Championship game. It's going to be either the Bucks, them, or the Packers. I think. But the Packers is because the Packers team is really, really good, except for wide receiver. The NFC is weak right now. The Packers have an easier path to victory. Weak division, weak conference. I think they're going to get in there. I have to go look at the schedule, but 49ers, they might be the most, right now, they're playing like they're the most, like arguably the most stacked team in football. They just need to not get a shit show from Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, let's be real here. I would bet my money that they'll get to a point in the playoffs and Jimmy Garoppolo will let them down, because in the playoffs you get into these close games where you have to be more than a handoff dink and duck guy. You got to be able to do shit Jimmy Garoppolo's proved time and time again he can't do, like hit wide open dudes in the Super Bowl in the end zone for touchdowns. Tom makes those plays, Peyton makes those plays, Rodgers makes those plays. Jimmy Garoppolo has made those plays.
Josh Allen makes those plays.
So
this year, though.
So my next team is the Chiefs. Like I said, I don't have a lot to say about the Chiefs because they're just really good right now.
They're scary.
Their front seven is really nasty, underrated linebackers. Their defensive backs are young and instinctive, but they can be a little bit leaky. They kind of go after plays a little too much instead of just staying sound and covering guys. One of the best offensive lines in the league, bunch of different running backs they can throw at you. I like the 1-2 punch of Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then again, like I told you in the preseason, this team's going to be just as potent on offense. It's just going to be a different coat of paint. You're going to really find out this year how good Patrick Mahomes is at actually playing quarterback, because he's going to fucking spread the pill all over the place and layer in their deep shots. Travis Kelce's still an animal. Who did they play last week? I don't even know if
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is still a nightmare against zone and against linebackers. They can't cover the dude. And that's what's cool about tight ends is like, yeah, tight end might not be able to like consistently beat a whole defense, but in certain situations your tight end's good enough. You could cause a lot of havoc and move drives and move chains if your tight end's that uncoverable.
Yeah.
Because all you need is first downs. Yeah, he's a fucking beast.
He's scary. The entire I hate Chad. Tune out for a second. I hate saying this. I think the AFC team to get to the Super Bowl is the Chiefs. Like I love Buffalo.
I think so too.
I drink that Kool-Aid, but they've been playing consistently incredible for at least just the past few weeks.
And
whereas Buffalo,
you got to beat them. You haven't beat them the last couple times.
And we play Chad. When do we play Kansas City?
Week 6.
Week 6.
Ooh, that's next week. Let's go.
So, I'm sorry.
Come on, now.
I'm sorry to say.
Come on, now.
I really think that Kansas City is the AFC team to beat.
Come on now. You got a shot, though. Come on now.
I hate saying it. I mean, Buffalo has a shot, but we got a lot of injuries.
I'm telling you, if the Chiefs were not the Chiefs, the Bills would have been to a Super Bowl by now. And that is so shit to say. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs, so it doesn't matter. But
Chiefs, my next team.
I told you Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be balling this year with the Chiefs because they're going to have to do it. And also, I think Kelsey's going to beat his record of like receiving yards this year.
Yeah.
Personally.
Better put it in a parlay.
Yeah. That ain't me. That ain't me.
Chad, when's your next episode of fucking Bills, Bets, and Beers coming out, dude? I keep tagging him.
It's right here.
So
but no, I'm gonna be doing. I was gonna do it last night, but then I just put the boys to bed and everything. But
So
I'll be doing it probably.
You're saying?
I'm gonna be doing it tomorrow. I'm gonna make another parlay instead of doing all 16 games. I'm gonna just do 10 because I think I can hit 10 good. Personally,
I've only
I
been
think
doing
I can
5.
pick. I think with the spreads now, I can pick over unders or the spread line. Like that Bills, if the Bills beat the Steelers by plus 14, I won't be mad, but I don't see us beating them at plus 14. I think it's going to come down to
That's
the
hard.
late in the fourth quarter. And late in the fourth quarter, and they're going to score a touchdown to make it like 11-point difference. And the Bills are going to be like, okay, cool, we're just going to run the ball and kill time. We're not going to want to go run down and score a touchdown to beat you by 20.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, speaking of the Bills, what's up?
On the contrary to what you just said, Chad, I'm thinking that they're at least going to beat them by 17. We got a veteran, even with all the, and I'm being serious. I really, really think that they're going to start Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback. They're going to be picking him off left and right. Our linebackers, I love Matt Milano. I love Tremaine. I think they're gonna switch everything up, and he's gonna interceptions or fumbles. Everything is gonna turn into a bunch of points, and I think we are gonna pound the piss out of the Steelers, and we're gonna beat them by. And I'm saying this now. We're gonna beat them by 17 at least.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Rookie quarterback, veteran defense that is stacked, even with all the injuries we have. We still played as well as we did. I'm saying it right now. I'm thinking that Buffalo is going to hand them their ass.
Side note.
I'll say, do you think for next week's game against KC, they're going to have shit. Can't think. God, please. 1 second, bud. Do you think we're going to be Trey White back? Do you think Trey White back's going to be back week 6?
No. He's going to be ready.
Get the kid a Happy Meal.
No, I think Trey White isn't. I don't think he's going to come back for a while. And did you see Dawson Knox and JP Jordan, my boy Jordan Poyer, the kid from Astoria? They're out. They're ruled out.
Astoria.
The kid from Astoria.
Was it like New York or some shit?
Yeah, New York City.
Oh.
I know.
Okay, listen. Listen, hold on.
Week 9, though.
Hold on. You guys, speaking of the Bills, they're part of my contender teams, okay? So the Bills, obviously you got Josh Allen. He's leading all facets of the game. People worried about the offensive line because they dropped some pieces and shit, but just like last year, almost every time I watch Josh Allen drop back, he's standing back there in power stance and not moving. He's just like looking around and he just fucking throws the balls. All the time in the world in the pocket. People talk about like trying to say the Bills can't run, but I thought they've been running the ball really well this year, not just with Josh Allen, but with the other running backs. I think you guys, in a lot of instances, can do what's up.
No. I was gonna let you finish your point, but
you can say it.
I was gonna say, on the contrary of that, unfortunately, we are not, as a team, we are not running the ball very effectively. With Josh, one player, yes, we are. Our 3 guys, Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook, not effective as they need to be. I think Devin Singletary has more receiving yards than he does rushing yards. That's not effective.
I remember the game that I seen. I thought the running backs rushed really well. Maybe it was a specific game. I haven't, like I told these guys when we started, I haven't been looking at all the team numbers.
Yeah, and I have been, and that's why I'm saying, on the contrary, Josh Allen accounts for, he's our rushing leader. I mean, as a quarterback, you should be focusing on other things. However, he's producing for us. Yeah, that's great.
I think he should just rush
runs the ball. When he runs the ball the way that he does, he's more apt to take hits instead of sliding. You know, he'd rather get hit and try and get an extra yard or 2 versus sliding and maybe coming up short of the first down, which I'm all fine. That's all well and dandy, but you run the risk of injury. and the quarterback position is the number one thing that you don't want to get injured, especially Josh Allen.
Okay, so this is what I was. Hold on. So there's two things I want to address. Devin Singletary's not running the ball that efficiently, but it's because you guys have given him a lot of carries. But when you look at it as a whole, your whole entire team is averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, and you got 2 running backs averaging over 4 yards per carry. What I'm saying is, when you guys choose to run the ball at the right times, it's pretty damn efficient. I'm in the minority here. I think that Josh Allen could fucking run the ball and stay relatively healthy because he's been doing it for 4 straight fucking seasons. He's a different type of dude.
Yeah.
Obviously you want him to pick and choose to the best of his ability. You want him to slide and stuff. But, dude, you take that rushing ability off your fucking team, it's going to lower how good that offense runs if he's not out there running, probably by like 15, 20%. He's that good running the fucking football. He's got to get out there. He's got to rush the football. To keep going about the team, it's definitely not the strongest wide receiver core in terms of pure talent, but it's one of the deeper ones in terms of you have a number one. I got to see more out of Gabriel Davis still. I do. I thought he'd be the number 2. He's not playing to what I thought he'd play through like 4 games. Okay, so he's been injured a little bit. But what I do like is that there's a lot of decent guys in terms of depth. You got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. Isaiah McKenzie, he needs to learn how to get out of bounds, but he can run. He's agile, catch the ball. You got decent tight ends there. I just think the offense is the least of my fucking concern. For me, it's about getting the health back on defense. What I do love about the defense, waves and waves and cascades of defensive linemen they can throw at people. Just at interior and exterior, the linebackers. Milano's really good in coverage. I do like Tremaine Edmonds for his sideline-to-sideline stuff. He has to get more efficient in pass pro. Where his bread and butter is sideline-to-sideline making tackles, he's got to get better in pass pro. And another thing I don't like is with Tremaine Edmonds is I love the player. I don't understand for the life of me. This is just what I see all the time. Because I liked him in college, too, before he was ever even a Bill. I don't understand how you could be 6'5", 245, 250 in that athletic. He's not really great at shedding tackles when 2 dudes like get 2 hands on him. He could be like washed out of plays. If guys get their mitts on him and negate him from taking his athleticism and instinctiveness and going sideline to sideline and tackling people, the second a dude gets their hands on him good enough, like how to wash him out of the play. I'd like to see him be a little bit stronger at the point of the attack, and obviously after he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, right? 3, 4 years, something like that.
He was since 2017. He came in with Josh Allen.
I do love the linebacker core. I think that against certain teams like 49ers, you're going to have a hard time stopping running against the 49ers because against that squad, you have to not be able to get washed. You got to hit the point of attack and break down and make tackles. But love Matt Milano. Love the secondary playing fucking rookie dudes at corner. So hopefully when they all get healthy back. But basically, in my opinion, this team and the 49ers have the most talent abroad and depth of all the teams in the league. In terms of, at every single position, do you have talent and depth? These teams have it when they're fully healthy in spades. The Bills are one of those teams. League quarterback, they're a contender for me. So my last contender is obviously the Eagles. So here's the thing. The Eagles are 100% right now through 4 games a contender for me, but I have some problems with the Eagles. I feel bad because Darren's not here now. He was here earlier. I have a couple issues with the Eagles. One is going down the stretch. Down the stretch is Jalen Hurts going to show up in the big games, keep taking those shots down the field. He's averaging more yards per attempt down the field than any quarterback, which keep doing that. Your playmakers are good enough to where you need to take the shots, you need to throw your best ball, and you need to fucking trust them. Will he keep doing that? Will this offensive line and these running backs and everyone stay healthy enough to keep this train rolling, and will they stay balanced enough to keep this offensive train rolling? I do think when this offense has the continuity that I think it have, I could think it could be almost unfucking stoppable if they play the best of their abilities, but they have to stay disciplined, stay in their lanes, execute the offense properly. My other thing is, I really don't think this defense is as great as everyone acts like it is. I don't really think the personnel is that great. They've given up a lot of points to teams they shouldn't fucking give points up to. Yeah, they shut out the Vikings, but Kirk Cousins has games where he doesn't fucking play well. Kirk Cousins did not play well in that game. Was that a primetime game?
Yeah.
Against the Eagles? Yeah, that makes sense because he doesn't play well in primetime games. They gave a lot of points up to Detroit, and I know they gave up a lot of points to another team. I need to see more out of this defense because I do have them number one in my power rankings. But it's because right now, based on what's going on with the other teams, I feel like they can beat any other team when they play to their best ability. Come playoff time, Hurts is going to have to step up, and the defense is going to have to step up. A little bit of wary on that front, but they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They have one of the most dynamic core of weapons if you include the quarterback in that. Solid defense. They're a contender for sure. What's up?
I agree with everything you say, except for I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to have the cajones in the playoffs, if they make it that far, to take his team, to lead his team to victory in a playoff scenario. I really don't think so.
I think you're saying, like, you don't think he has the skill to. Because he definitely has the cojones to. That dude's a baller. But you say you don't think he has the skills.
I know it's a team effort, so it's very, very difficult.
But the quarterback matters, though. At the end of the day, at some point in a playoff game, you have to step up and make an accurate throw to the back of the end zone or to triple coverage, double coverage, whatever. You have to consistently step up and win from the pocket.
I think he has the skill to do it. But as soon as you can have Jalen Hurts can have a record-setting season. But as soon as it's playoff time, a lot of people just crumble under pressure. And I really think Jalen Hurts is going to crumble under pressure. So, yeah, he has a skill, but if you put the word playoff in front of it,
you think psychologically he'll crumble?
Yeah, and I think he's going to lead his team. It's going to lead his team down the down the toilet bowl.
It's like what
I see. I agree with the underlying sentiment, but I see it in reverse. I think he hasn't shown me enough in terms of consistently throwing down the field efficiently enough for me to trust him in a big game against another really, really good team. And plus, we haven't seen this team play a really, really good team yet. Vikings are pretty good, but like I said, the Vikings, they give up a lot of points on defense. I'm not liking it. So, but yeah, so those are our where we have the teams right now in terms of like where we think they're at from an early season projection. Interesting 4 weeks. A lot of fucking odd variants. A lot of teams are 2-2. I truly believe there's a handful of teams that have overachieved big time in these first couple weeks. And there's definitely some teams that have the personnel to be good and they have to really fucking get it together. Like I said, I only had 3 very good teams. And then, 6 elite teams? No, 6 elite teams. And then the rest of the teams, it's kind of like, there's like question marks with all the rest of the teams. And obviously, the teams can tumble. Every team's a quarterback away from fucking tumbling down the fucking power rankings. We've seen really good rosters lose their quarterback and then miss the playoffs.
You know what's funny, Evan? Even though we didn't coordinate anything, I think we're pretty generally around the same basis.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like annoyed when Adam was like, in the group chat, was like, oh yeah, your power rankings are basically solely off record. No, go watch my power rankings instead of having an opinion. Most of these teams are 2-2, right? And why would I have the 49ers as my 5th best team if it's solely off fucking record and who's in whose division? It's not. I also have the Jets way higher than most people would. I also have the Steelers lower than most people would. What other teams do I have low? The Raiders, whatever. Because all the fucking media and so many people acted like the Raiders were going to be good instead of being fucking honest. This is how I can't tell if the media is trying to be fucking serious or if they're trying to troll us, if they got just fucking, if they're handled or whatnot. Everyone liked the fucking Raiders, so their roster's not good. Everyone liked the Steelers, and they don't have a fucking quarterback. Everyone likes the fucking Colts and their fucking ass, even with a fucking good roster, because the way they fucking attack is fucking outdated. And their quarterback can't throw the ball 10 feet. What's another team everyone liked? Let's see. Everyone likes the fucking Pats still every year. They fucking suck. They play generic ass football. What's up, bud? Washington. That's the other team. Oh, Washington's gonna fucking win the division. Dude, shut the fuck up.
No, that'll be
ass. Was that what you were gonna say, Jake?
No, I agree with you. What I was gonna say is, I don't know if you guys already talked about it, because I'm chiming in late. We at my place of work, we started at noon and ended at 8, so that's why I'm chiming in a little later. But I don't know if you guys talked about it already, but I wanted to shift focus on the game last night.
Yeah, it was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah, literally at halftime, I said, "I'm all set. Thank you. Good night."
I watched all the way to the fourth quarter, and then I tuned off with 8 minutes left, just enough to miss the shitty-ass Colts coming back to win against the shitty-ass Broncos.
So, I think
Two teams that are both talented on both sides of the ball and fucking can't get it together. That's what's so brutal about that game last night.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. When I saw Russell Wilson's press conference about when he got traded or whatever, Broncos, let's run. I'm like, oh shit, they got their Peyton Manning, who's going to run the ball, because I think he still can. They're going to take him to the Super Bowl. Oh shit. And then Matt Ryan gets traded to the Colts. I'm like, oh shit.
Wet noodle arm, Matt Ryan.
They got John Taylor. That's going to be fucking brutal. AFC, they just got another fucking contender. Worst game of my fucking life. What is so underwhelming to me, and I like Russell Wilson because he's just a good person, it's so underwhelming to see how he's performing as a Bronco. And I know it's early. They can go on an 11 game win streak or whatever the hell the number is, and they can just kill it. Both teams could, but it's just it's terrible. It's taxing to watch football. Especially last night's game. It was taxing. I was like, what are we doing here? The Broncos, they have all these weapons. Cortland Sutton is phenomenal. Russell Wilson, he's a phenomenal.
Judy.
Yeah, fast as fucking shit.
They have one of the best defenses in the league.
Terrible. It was a terrible ass game.
The defense played well. Got to give the Broncos that.
Yeah, in one of my leagues, I have the Broncos defense. But anyway, in the league that we're in, actually. But it was downright disrespectful, and I hate to say it, but I think this might even just be common knowledge, but I think Matt Ryan is our generation's Dan Marino. He's going to be a great quarterback. He's got some records here and there, or whatever, but I don't think he's ever going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but their skill sets two totally different stratospheres, though. Well, I can understand what you're saying from a philosophical standpoint. Both guys have made it to Super Bowl or Super Bowls and never won them. But Dan Marino, from a pure talent standpoint, is one of the 5 best guys to ever throw a fucking football.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why I made him the quarterback photo. I did a video before we got on here. I did my quarterback tiers, which, if you want to laugh, go watch that quarterback tier video, because it was a fucking disaster. It was a big-ass tier with a bunch of photos, and there was duplicates of players from other teams, and there was players I couldn't tell who the fuck they were. There's players that, were backups 3 and 4 years ago. I couldn't tell if this guy was this guy, that guy was that guy, but the quarterbacks that mattered, I managed to say my opinion on them and fucking slot them. But it was a disaster.
So I was only making the comparison.
No, I got you.
Only for Super Bowl purposes, but it's just unfortunate because I really like Matt Ryan. It's just you got a noodle arm and I don't know, maybe retire. But that's all I got for that. Next topic.
Chad, you got anything you want to say about this young football season? We got this weekend coming up, some big games. We got some big games this weekend. There's some important games this weekend. We got Giants versus Packers. So we're going to find out how real the Giants are, 3-1, and see if they could take out a team that we consider to be contenders. But you never know. I mean, listen, the Packers can't throw the football down the field right now, so I mean, you never know. It could be a tight game. You're muted, Chad.
If the Packers play down to the Giants, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
You cannot have to play their game.
Bengals play the Ravens. And then what's the other big game? We're talking about it in the chat.
I think it's the Dolphins and the Jets.
No, there's another game that we were talking about. Let me see if I can scroll back and find it.
Oh yeah, did you guys talk about Tua's situation?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly.
I don't want to rehash open.
Do you hear how Tua might have to could have to retire due to his injuries?
That would stink.
Well, there's a
one doctor saying
there's a specialist that had mentioned that he should retire because he has permanent brain damage. That's just one opinion. If there's multiple opinions, then yeah, maybe we'll see it. But I don't know. That'd be shitty.
Okay, so the meaningful games this weekend. I mean, with all the teams this close, they're all fucking meaningful at this point because everyone's fucking 2-2.
Bengals,
Giants, Packers.
Oh.
That game is at Lambeau.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's in the UK. The Bills play the Steelers. I mean, it could be a tough game, but it's not. It's not.
It's not a meaningful game.
I think they should definitely win. I mean,
it's more of a Buffalo needs to destroy them because
make a statement. Yeah.
Because of them beating us week 1 last season.
So Jets Dolphins is an interesting game because you know how much I love these Jets right now. I mean, Teddy is steady. You laugh, dude. The Jets are 2-2. Teddy is steady. This could be a close game.
The Jets got to beat the Dolphins, so the Bills go ahead of them by 2 games. That's what we got to do.
Here's another interesting game: Eagles versus Cardinals. Cardinals play the best of their ability. Could be a little trap game there for the Eagles because the Eagles can give up points here and there. We'll see. And then obviously Ravens, Bengals.
Be a Bengals fan that week.
The Bengals. It's this coming weekend. It's the Sunday night game. The Bengals have improved a lot more than the Ravens have, and I think the spots that they didn't get better at are the spots that we really took advantage of and whooped them at. We scored 40 points both times last time out. Honestly, here's one that's huge. Raiders versus Chiefs. The Chiefs have to put their foot down and make it so the Raiders don't get to 2-2, because all the other teams in that division are 2-2. If the Raiders go to 2-2, beat the Chiefs lost to the fucking Colts. You can't fucking lose to that team. The Chiefs should be 4-0. This is a big game. The Chiefs need to come out and just fucking cut the head of this Raiders team off. Like a mythical snake. Just fucking
Nah, I need Jacobs to go for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Oh, you better put it in your parlay, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Danny Dimes. Hey, the gunslinger of the NFC East. Danny Dimes this weekend. Let's do it, dude. We've been going for like 3 hours. I know Darren popped in, John popped in, Jake popped in at the end. Guys got anything you want to say? Guys got anything you want to say at all before we hop off here?
Me and Evan over here are going to drag this top guy up on top to a Bills game.
Yeah. We want to go to a Bills game. Do you want to go? We're going to try to get a bunch of people and go sometime probably in like November.
You tell me when.
Do you think you'd be able to get the day off to go?
It'd be a Sunday. You could probably ask. Pending.
So, I graduate November 4th. I'm assuming I'd have the weekend off. I don't know my schedule right now, so would I want to go to a game? Yeah, 100%. But I just don't know right now.
We'll just, I'll just roll in there. I'll wear a blue fucking muscle shirt, and I'll just be like,
I might be able to. I know my brother's going to the Steelers game this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
They were supposed to sell tickets, they didn't sell. So I'll have. My brother said I might be able to. We sold our Green Bay tickets. I'd probably bring you up for that Vikings game. That Vikings game is the week after the 4th. I think it's like the 10th.
I mean, fuck
8th,
it. Let's be real.
10th.
It's not that far away. Chell and I got the fucking Jeep. We'll go when it's fucking snowing, baby. It's only a 2-hour drive. Fuck it, dude. We'll get out. We'll get the boots out. We'll go in December, baby.
If you don't know what line you're gonna be working and what schedule, and you're gonna be new to the stuff, it's you know how it goes. Being new, it's gonna be you're not gonna have pick and choose in time, you know. So if it's a short window, I was either gonna ask Evan to go, but if you want to go to that game,
Chad, we should go out. We should go out by the precinct once he starts and fucking test his skills. Just pretend we're doing some crunk shit. And just start fucking sprinting.
Table, some beer.
Fucking, you ain't gonna catch me alive. Just start running down the fucking sidewalk. Hits us with a fucking airstrike.
Look at these white guys run away from our cops. Us cops, we got some table goods.
They won't take us seriously because of where he works. Nothing happens to. He'll be like, "What the fuck, dude? You're working in Cicero, right? Manlius? Hell yeah, dude. That's the spot around here to work, Manlius, dude. Oh, that's gonna be great. You'll probably just get like domestic violence calls from rich people and shit. I know you guys love those calls. Those calls gotta suck.
So
you better watch those Cheeto fingers, dude. All right.
they actually. So, to bring it back in, you ungrateful motherfuckers. So, my final piece is, in all honesty, again, I hate saying this, I think in February or whenever the fucking Super Bowl is going to be, I think it's going to be the Chiefs and Green Bay battling it out for the Lombardi Trophy.
Who are your final 4 teams? We'll end on that. Give me your final 4 teams. AFC Championship, NFC Championship. Go.
Okay. NFC Championship is going to be Green Bay and San Francisco. AFC, Chad, sorry. Kansas City and good old Buffalo.
I don't know who you think's going to win. You think it's going to be Green Bay and Kansas City or Green Bay Buffalo?
Trey White will be back, man. Trey White will be back. We'll have Poyer. We won't have Hyde, but you know, we'll have a safety that knows what he's doing after 12 games.
You know, again, I love Buffalo. I'll pick them every single year to win the Super Bowl. At Evan, I don't know if you're gonna record this or whatever, or write this down. But for my early prediction with the first few weeks of this season going on, I'm picking Green Bay and Kansas City in the Super Bowl right now. You ask me again in 4 to 5 weeks, I might have a different answer. But it's so early to tell right now. Right now, that's my prediction. Kansas City, Green Bay. As far as who's going to win, I'm picking Kansas City.
Gotcha. Chad?
And that's right now. Again, ask me in 4 to 5 weeks. We'll do this again in 4 to 5 weeks. I might have a different answer, but that's my take.
Chad? You're muted.
For NFC, I would say Packers and Tampa. Only because they both have like one of the easiest routes in. I mean, either way, Green Bay's going to make it to the playoffs. It's either going to be them or the Vikings, and I think the Packers beat out the Vikings purely off of, I don't know, just probably off of divisional wins against each other at that point. I think that's what's going to determine that division. But I think for the other Final Four, obviously, I think it's going to be the Bills, and it has to be it's going to have to be the Chiefs. I don't know who else in the AFC can come, or the Bengals. It's going to be the Chiefs or the Bengals, depending on how depending how the playoffs roll out, because whoever faces each other initially first and stuff like that. If the Chiefs don't win number 1 seed, if they don't get the first seed and they have to play at other people's home, if the AFC Championship game is in Buffalo, I will 100% put that as the Bills are going to win that game. Because the Chiefs have always played the AFC Championship game at their home turf. They've never played anywhere else. Their playoff games are mostly at home turf.
I have
So against another crowd, another area, another completely all different weather, all that stuff. I think they're going to lose. And then if we have and that point, hopefully our team's fully healthy. We have Trey White back. We have all our cornerbacks back. We have all the Davis is actually fully healthy. Everything. I don't know, but I do think the Eagles have a. I was about to say just when he came in, before he came in, the Eagles do have a chance to make the championship game.
Oh, he's back.
But Hurts has to get used to.
So,
but that's my part four. I think
unfortunately,
it's going to be interesting.
We're ending on our way too early AFC and NFC championship teams. So my AFC championship teams are going to be, ideally, if the two best teams face, you don't know how the brackets will shake out, but if the two best teams in the AFC were to face each other, most likely at the end, it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. I'm not going to predict who's going to win or who's going to go Super Bowl, whatever, but those would be the two best teams, probably. Most likely. NFC is way tougher because I think the NFC is not good in general, but I think the handful of teams at the top are going to end up being really good at the end. I'll say the 49ers and the Eagles. I think we could see a little Sunny D. I think we could see a situation where the Bucs are too beat up. And I think we could see a scenario where the 49ers, or not the 49ers, the Packers don't have enough juice to the air even with Rodgers.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh,
And
I got to go, boys.
Later.
Nicholas Gibbs is crying.
All right, take care, brother.
Yeah, he's crying.
You still down for the 22nd? No, he's gone. So, yeah, I think that any four of those teams can make it. But if my gut feeling, if all those teams stay relatively healthy, I could see the two teams coming out on top be the 49ers and the Eagles. That's what I think. And that's assuming that the Eagles can stay consistent enough. Jalen Hurts has got to be consistent. Defense has got to be consistent enough. You already know that the quarterback play, at least, of the Packers in the Bucs, it's going to be consistent because they're two of the best quarterbacks ever to play. So it's going to be tough. It's either the two better arguably the two more explosive and well-rounded rosters with the quarterbacks that aren't as good as the two elite ones, get it? Or the two elite quarterbacks play really well and take not as explosive at times and beat up rosters into that slot. So I could see either four of those teams making it. What's that, buddy?
Ooh, Teflon Tom?
Yeah, dude, Tom's still fucking throwing darts at like 600 years old, dude. He's nasty. And I could see Tampa. The problem I have with Tampa is I'd like to say Tampa versus the Eagles or Tampa versus the Bucs. Ideally, I think the Packers is the weakest team out of those four teams. I'd like to say Tampa versus either the Bucs, Tampa versus the Bucs, or Tampa versus the Bucs. Tampa versus the Eagles or Tampa versus the 49ers. That's what I think. Even with the injuries, I think Tampa, if they're healthy enough at the end of the year, they're still going to be dirty. They just got too many weapons. They got Tom, too good a defense.
I want it to be Tampa and Philly again.
That'd be fun. But what do you think, real quick, Cud? Then we're going to shut this down and play Warzone. Who do you think at the very end, if the two best teams at the end of the year on each side are going to be? Who do you think is going to make the AFC Championship?
It's going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think we're going to see the same exact outcome. I think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Bills. And I think it's going to be Philly and Tampa.
Interesting. You guys got anything else you want to add before we dip out? Anything you guys want to save for the fucking people? Chad?
World's gonna melt. the chat's gonna melt down if it's Eagles Bills.
No, the chat will melt down if it's Bills Cowboys. We'll have to throw all our cell phones into a fucking smelt and just fucking boil them down into a block of fucking metal. That's the Super Bowl I want to see. Bills and Cowboys. That everyone will just be like, like losing their minds, dude. It's a win-win for me because the two most hated teams in the chat will be in the Super Bowl, so one of them's gonna win. That shit's great. This is Keep It a G Real podcast. If you don't know, then you won't know. The three of us are gonna hop off here in a second, and we're gonna get on and play a little Warzone. You can find me at Mr_Nasty_Time, which is the same name of the YouTube channel, over on Twitch. Probably gonna stream a little Warzone. Just a little update. When the new Call of Duty comes out, I am probably moving my streaming platform over to YouTube so I can have everything in-house. I'm going to start streaming directly from YouTube instead of Twitch. I know I have over 100 followers on Twitch, but I'm trying to build the YouTube up. I might as well just put it all into one house. At least that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm going to have to talk a little more to my little brother. You know, we got to talk to Hawkeye a little bit more and just figure out what I want to do. Also, breaking news, I have a little something in the works. I might be starting a little secondary channel with my younger brothers, Colton. We might be starting a musical reaction channel. We haven't come out with a name yet. If you guys can come up with some names for it or something, maybe you guys can help me out and I can pick a name. But Colton, he started reviewing music on his Snapchat. I'm obviously balls deep into music. I love music, especially classic rock, heavy metal music. But I also have a wide repertoire of music that I like throughout different genres of time. I would assume, and based off what I've seen on his Snapchat, he only knows mostly new music, and he listens to like a lot of pop and rap and stuff like that. He does mix in his little Snapchat reviews. I notice he's listened to a little Metallica, some older rap, some different things that people probably tell him to listen to. But I think it would be really fun. I think you guys would have fun if he and I sat down once or twice a week on a different channel and we decide every day we pick a genre. I pick a couple songs that are older from that genre or something I think he might not know because of the age gap. And then he picks something newer from that genre, something I've never heard. And he and I do reactions to the music in the music videos. I think that'd be really fun. I just got to come up with a name for it. So Spencer and I are going to sit down, try to come up with a name, and we're going to buy whatever I need to set it up so Colton and I could sit in front of the camera together. You guys could see us. Then we could just fucking react to music. We'd be out here like, I like to dream, all that happy shit. And he probably listens to a lot of that like wicked emotional Gen Z nihilistic rap where everyone just hates themselves and their lives, like Papa Zan and shit. He probably listens to a lot of that shit because you know that all the Gen Z kids now is just fucking the age of nihilism. Everyone hates themselves, but whatever. I'll see if I can find some good music. And what I like about the channel is what I like about my vision for the channel is I'm going to open a gateway is because he really loves music. I'm going to open up a gateway to music he does not know. Music he's never heard of before. Really expand his palette. And then I also get to come out of my shell a little bit as someone who's definitely a music snob. And I hate a lot on new popular music because I think a lot of it's garbage. Maybe I could find some middle ground and find newer music. Maybe there's artists out there in the pop and rap world, country world that I like. You know, I primarily now only listen to like metal and classic rock. But as Darren knows, I have a bunch of really deep playlists. I listen to a lot of different shit. I know a lot of Darren and I both, even Darren for being as, younger, he knows a lot of music, So I see you back there. She can't hear me. But yeah, so I think it'd be fun. So I'll let you guys know when that's up. Are we playing Warzone?
I'm on.
All right. Well, we're hopping off, getting on Warzone. Keep it a real, keep it a G Real podcast. Dopest podcast ever. Here with the boys. Hope you guys